Welcome back, house guests, to the finale of Season 1 of Backdoors and Blindsides, covering Season 27 of Big Brother. I've been keeping that in the chamber the last 3 months to bring for our very last episode, recapping our favorite show. Episode 39 of Season 27, the finale, aired Sunday night. We had our final 3 compete for HOH. We had Morgan, Vince, and Ashley. We crowned a winner. We crowned America's favorite player. We got a ton of inside skinny in post-show interviews. There's a lot to cover, but it's been an awesome 3 months. Recapping the show, I'm your host, Matt, joined as always by my better half. I would say the vision behind the product, my wife, Meg.
That's me. Hello. So we're going to start off with the Jury Roundtable, which is a segment that we get every season at the very end. And I think this one felt a lot shorter than past seasons.
It wasn't
really,
even a full,
really felt quick.
It wasn't even a full, segment of airtime.
No.
We cut to the roundtable, and then I think we cut, back to Julie or right to the house or something like that, some of, the pre-taped stuff. So I wish that we got a little more time. I mean, we didn't get much time in the jury house at all. And I know that in years past, it's formulaic, right? Everyone's sitting around the pool at the jury house. Oh, I wonder who's going to come in through that door. And then, oh, no way, it's Lauren, it's Kelly, it's Keanu, right? They put some of the jury house in Unlocked this season versus in the regular episodes. And I thought it was a little missed. I mean, I like seeing the tidbits of jury conversation that they're having. Honestly, I think the biggest missing piece here was Rachel doing what she said she was going to do, which is run that jury, right? Really make them work to make their decisions. I kind of wish that we saw more of that. But what we do get is Cody, of all people, leading this roundtable discussion, right?
And I thought he was fine with it. There was nothing that was super hard hitting or, groundbreaking that happened. But Rachel did say that she will not allow Big Brother 27 to have a bitter jury. That was kind of one of her statements that she threw out there in the jury roundtable, and something that she was also talking about throughout the season, that she was, if she was a part of jury, that she was going to pick the best Big Brother player.
You mean bitter jury for herself or across the whole group?
Just across everybody.
Okay.
She would not allow it. And I was like, here she is flexing these muscles that I don't know if anyone in the house really listened to a certain extent. But she was positioning it as such that she would not allow her fellow jury members to be bitter.
Right. When you say bitter jury, how is that defined in the Big Brother world? We are all mad at the same person who got us out, basically?
Right. If it is the same person, but it could just be, this person got me out, fuck them.
Right.
I'm pissed. They lied to me, whatever. So she was nothing, we're not going to do that. If someone did get you out and you're mad about it, that's a separate thing. You have to put your, personal feelings aside and go by facts and how the game should be and was played.
Yeah. Pretty, I guess, is that noble? Is that noble of her? It's definitely a vet move, I think, right? Because she's been in those chairs several times, so she wants the jury to vote the way that everyone feels like they deserve the decision making for. Right?
I would say it's kind of compared to a court case, right? You do get people asking questions. You get the final rebuttal from each of the 2 finalists. You get the jury debate, which is the round table, right? And if you look at a real courtroom, it shouldn't be based off your decision as a jury member should not be based off of emotions, right? It should be based off of these were the facts that were laid out in front of me. I'm proving someone innocent or guilty. In this case, you get the money or you don't get the money.
How often is it a bitter jury situation? Does that come up? Would you say that comes up more often than not in show history? I feel like it can go either way based on what I've seen.
I don't know if it's a overall blanket statement, this whole jury was bitter. I would say, though, that you definitely have bitter players or bitter jurors who are voting against certain players at the end because, someone pissed them off. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. I would be fucking bitter. I'd be it would be hard for me to get over my own ego to vote for someone who quote unquote deserves it if they, you know, pulled the rug out from underneath me.
Is that something that you would share with people inside of the house? Like, just so you know, I'm going to be bitter in jury, so keep me around.
If I'm actively in the Big Brother house, is your scenario saying? No, I would not tell people that, because you've seen people do it this season and kind of try to leverage their jury vote and to kind of weaponize it. And I'm like, I don't think people respect that move.
Yeah, Keanu kind of tried it. Ava tried it, right?
And Vince even said at one point that Keanu was holding his jury vote hostage, which I don't think is a thing. Like, Keanu can't hold his jury vote hostage from anybody, because at the end of the day, Keanu's jury vote, or anyone's jury vote, is the last sliver of influence they have in the game. And they are going to place it where they feel, out of bitterness or not, it is deserved. So I didn't like when Vince, I think it was a few episodes ago, he said that Keanu was holding his jury vote hostage from him. I was like, shut the fuck up, Vince.
Well, because really at the end of the day, it's just a last-ditch effort to try and stay, right? It's like Ava calling that kind of bullshit meeting where she was putting Vince's business out there, so to speak. Weaponizing, it's just like we're flailing at this point.
Weaponizing, sure. You can do, like, that's what he was doing, was weaponizing his jury vote, but he's not holding it hostage. Like, I think those are two very different things, and I just didn't like how Vince called that out specifically. And I was like, someone can't hold their own jury vote hostage from you, Vince.
What's up with Cody leading the round table instead of Taylor or Derek, who have been hosting Unlocked all season?
Honestly, I think it was just they wanted another Big Brother face. And that's kind of what the name of the game was this entire season, was how many kind of all-stars can we bring back without actually having an all-star season. Right.
Well, and we'll get to like the Mastermind, the plural. And so I guess some of the hosts of the previous comps, like Tyler came out, Angela, Casey helping Keanu out, stuff like that. So makes sense. I feel like it's a much easier process to host the roundtable because you're probably fed. I mean, if you're hosting Unlocked, you're probably fed some takes, right? But
you're
they're
just
like
a production puppet at that point.
Right. So I was wondering, like, for a second, all right, is this like Cody's soft audition? Honestly, I think Unlocked would make more sense to be a rotating cast.
I did want him to like really dig in, or like call a jury member out for the way that they were approaching something, or something along the lines of that. But it was just very, in my opinion, kind of forgettable jury roundtable. It was quick. The other two things, really the only two things that were notable that came out of it, was someone said Vince was either lying or crying, and unnecessarily lying throughout the whole house. And then they were saying that Ashley, because she's next to Vince and Morgan, who have done so much in the game, that it's going to be an uphill battle for her. Yeah. And I clocked that last time.
Right.
Like, I said she needs to pull out that last HOH, and then she needs to have a damn good speech, whoever she's next to. And she did both of those things. So I think that bit of jury, segment on Ashley sitting next to either Vince or Morgan, I think kind of paid off at the end for Ashley.
Well, it's funny you say that because, and this ties into both the roundtable and the post-show interviews, but in the roundtable, I don't know if it slips out or like he was actually trying to make a point with it. Will tells all of the jury that Ashley is a lawyer.
I was actually really upset by this because Ashley did end up telling Will that she was a lawyer. Yeah. And she said, don't tell anyone. And I believe it was when Will was on the block, right before he was evicted, she went to him and was like, hey, please don't tell anyone. If you end up on the jury, please do not tell anyone that I'm a lawyer, because if I make it to the final two chairs, I want to be the one that like breaks that news to everyone. And so when he said that, I was just like, no, you're stealing her thunder.
The ace up her sleeve.
Which obviously now in hindsight, did not matter? I don't know. But, maybe people were able to sit there and think on Ashley's gameplay a little bit longer, being like, oh, wow, she is smart. She did fool me, right? So people had a little bit longer of a time to like know that information and reflect. So maybe it did end up helping her, but in the moment Will said that and I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, she asked you specifically to keep that a secret and you didn't. And I was really hoping that, that wouldn't, steal her thunder or anything. Really, Vince was the only I guess Morgan too, but Vince and Morgan were the only ones that could be shocked by that at that point.
Well, and Ashley's, this is obviously post Ashley winning the game. Ashley wins Big Brother 27. By the way, we fucking called it like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, I did.
And she is in her post-show.
I at least called out what she needed to do to win. And she was able to do it.
Post-show interview with Taylor Hale, right? This was for Entertainment Weekly or Entertainment Tonight, I think. She interviewed the final 3, Vince, Morgan, Ashley. We'll get into the details of all of them, but there's one important thing to note in her interview with Ashley is that she said Will told the jury.
She did say that to her.
And do you think that helped? And Ashley, I think you could tell that she was a little taken aback that he did, not really steal her thunder, but take away that
I think it's exactly what he did, because she specifically asked him, do not tell the jury. Jury roundtable happens. Will's like, Ashley's a lawyer. And I'm like, oh my God, come on.
She seemed to soften to that pretty immediately. And Taylor's question was,
fuck, she's got the
I
money.
guess it doesn't matter because she has the money. But Taylor asked her, do you think that helped your chances with the jury? And she thought about it. She said, you know what, maybe it did. And so that is interesting that Will went against what Ashley asked him to, but she did come out winning in the end. I couldn't find an interview with Will that asked him about that moment, but I would love to know what he was thinking when he dropped that information.
Maybe I guess maybe he wasn't.
But on the other side, I mean, Will's a very thoughtful guy. And look, in the final 3, right? You go to the jury roundtable, that it's between Morgan, Ashley, and Vince. Out of those 3, Will's going to pull for Ashley. Right? I mean, they were aligned the entire time. He's compared her to his daughter, all of that. And so I think Will has his mind made up once he knows who this final 3 is. So he's putting that out there maybe to help her chances. Maybe he thinks that he is doing her a solid by giving them the time to really ponder that.
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't think it was malicious in any way. If coming especially from Will, in no way was it malicious, him telling the jury that she was the lawyer. But I think it was maybe, I don't know. Obviously I'm not Will, so I don't know what he was thinking in that moment, but I'm just going to guess that he wasn't really thinking, or maybe he didn't remember, or didn't resonate with him when she said that. Right. Cause he doesn't listen to what people say. So maybe he was just zoning out when she said that. And he was like, I don't know what she just said, but I'm agreeing to it.
It was one of the moments where he was just waiting for the conversation to end so he could go to bed.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, you're right. Worst case scenario, he wasn't thinking at all. Best case scenario, he was trying to help her out. Either way, it seemed to resonate with them in the right way. Yeah. And obviously Vince pretty shocked, Morgan pretty shocked when this is revealed on finale night. But it seems like based on the conversation that they air, the jury is already out on Vince. I mean, and I think they're doing their best in the edit to try and keep it a mystery, but
maybe that's why we didn't see a lot, because the entire round table was just
they're just shitting on Vince.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't matter if Rachel is trying to manage that part of it. If you've got 7 other people, they weren't listening to Rachel inside the house when there was gameplay involved. So I don't know why she would have much more pull in jury decisions as well. Right. I mean, it makes sense for her to try her best. Right. And I think she's coming from a good place of, I know this game really well. I know that this is the most fair way to be on the jury. It is a privilege to be on the jury of Big Brother instead of going home early. So I don't even think that she was, doing anything wrong by trying to manage that side of things.
No.
But I don't think that any of the decisions here were attributed to her trying to pull people one way or another, or keep them, focused on the main objective, which is assess the best player in the game. And we already mentioned the masterminds plural.
Yep.
Are revealed towards the end of the finale episode, but it kind of ties into the jury roundtable here because, yes, we're all about bringing back all-stars from previous seasons. And like, what were the theories? The theories were it was one of the former players of this season. Like, it could have been Amy. Some people think it was Ava. At least people inside the house thought that it could have been Ava.
No, I think it was the accomplice. They were thinking
okay, the
Ava
accomplice.
Yeah, which was different. But I people were thinking Paul from a few seasons of Big Brother ago could have been it. People were also guessing Dr. Will, who he was, framed in the second HOH competition that we saw. Some people were saying that the biggest expect the unexpected moment would have been if Julie Chen Moonves was our mastermind of the season. But frankly, it wasn't anything that exciting.
No, it was, what's like even less interesting than a returning player that we haven't seen in a bunch of seasons? Several of them.
Returning players.
So that no one really even has like a big moment. We're all just kind of going around in a circle talking about what made us mad about the season that we were on. Just really underwhelming.
Yeah, so it was Frankie Grande from BB16 and Reindeer Games, which I didn't realize that he went on to play Big Brother UK season 18. I didn't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did.
So he's been around the show more than we thought.
Yeah, but I knew, obviously, BB16 and Reindeer Games, which BB16, that was like almost 10 years ago. I remember watching that season.
Holy shit.
And being like, this is a great season, but like putting it into perspective that way, I'd be like, I'm just like, oh, holy shit, that feels forever ago.
Do you ever think you'd be doing a podcast with your husband about that show?
No, I didn't. I never thought I would do a podcast.
Okay, I thought you were going to say you never thought that we'd be married.
I never thought I'd have a husband either. I don't know. Both of these things just kind of fell in my lap, I guess. And then we have Jesse, Mr. Pectacular from BB10 and 11. He's popped up on so many seasons of Big Brother since his time there. He was even on this season earlier. And then Eric from BB8, which I had to pause the TV and look him up. I was like, who the fuck is this and why should I care? Because I think BB8, I was like, I don't know, 10 when that came out. I've watched Big Brother from like as a small child. Like my parents watched it. So I would always, I wasn't watching it through the lens as a 10-year-old that I am now. So I was like, I could give two shits about this guy and why he's back. So like, I don't.
Well, that's the thing is
next.
And it's fine to bring back something from that long ago, but I think you have to give a little bit of context.
And they did. They had like a little clip, but it was just still, I was like, I don't know. It seems pretty grasping.
Well, and again, because there's 3 of them and we're only going to spend a total of 2 minutes on this whole thing that we've been building up to the entire season, right? So it's like 1 or 2 lines, they're looking at like the ritual table or they're putting their masks on the table or whatever, and like a quick flashback to something in their season, and then we move on. I think it would be better if we get a little more time with each of them individually, or if it's one of them, the one where they go into, yes, this is exactly what happened and this is why I'm doing this. Like, just give a little more narrative.
Or maybe put it
right?
on BB Unlocked and then give Ashley her whole time that she's able to try to convince the jury, because she kept getting cut off by Julie, because it's a live show, we got to keep it moving. I would have rather have cut that whole entire segment to listen to 30 seconds more of Ashley give her case to why she should win.
I mean, it seemed like this show kind of forgot about the Mastermind for a while.
Well,
from like week 4 to week 8 or 9.
Everyone online was like, oh my gosh, like, who's the Mastermind going to be? Who's the Mastermind going to be? Is it this person, that person? The whole time, I'm just like sitting in the background being like, there's not a fucking chance that this is actually somebody. Because last year, everyone thought that Ainsley, oh my God, Ainsley, kind of like the, ooh, you make a mark of that.
You just punched the microphone?
I did.
No, we don't have to mark that. That's funny.
Everyone thought that Ainsley, who was kind of this mascot representation figure that floated out throughout the game, kind of like the Mastermind this season, everyone thought she was someone, and she wasn't. So I was like, here we go again, of just this character that like has no payoff. And there was a payoff, right? We did get it. We had it revealed that these 3 players were actually working together as the Mastermind. But then afterwards, I'm like, okay, so like, I don't care.
Like,
I don't.
They all got fucked over by some sort of twist. That was the motivation. But then like, what did they accomplish? right?
Nothing.
Because like someone still won the game, right?
Nothing.
I feel like the mastermind would have to be involved in some sort of competition, or there's some sort of like break off, like mini Big Brother that happens, or something
Or like
that.
during
Give it some stakes is all.
During jury, maybe like right at the start of jury, maybe the 3 masterminds, it's revealed that 3 masterminds exist and they're going to compete against each other, and one of them is going to be unleashed into the house as a player.
Yeah, that's
Give me
so
something.
much cooler,
Yeah.
right? Right, like we've been fucked over by twists, and now we're coming back for revenge. We're
Right.
gonna fuck over the
For a
system or
twist,
the game or whatever. I think Rachel had more grounds to be the mastermind.
Yeah,
than
she's going to be
any
the
of these
mastermind
3.
next season?
Right,
'Cause,
that's what I'm saying. Is like now we just can assume that she'll be involved in something like that, because that just seems to be the trend here. So
I don't know.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not like we really thought this was going to go anywhere, because they seem to stop caring pretty soon afterwards. But it could have been like the costume was cool. The masks was cool. The videos were cool. I just think that it could have been a little more.
And they're like, you didn't notice that the masks were different, and that on the podium, the mastermind's podium, were 3 inscribed things of competitions. Oh, and I'm like, Big Brother, I could not care any less than I do right now. This isn't interesting to me.
Here's the thing. Do we know of anyone who picked up on that?
No.
I didn't see a single shred online.
No.
So why put the Easter eggs in if
it doesn't actually matter?
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the thing. Like it's supposed to be something just noticeable enough that someone will pick up on, and maybe they had better faith in the audience. Maybe they were just getting a little too big brain for how they were dropping these hints. Maybe just something more like dialogue driven instead of like upside down text on a belt or whatever. It's fine. I mean, it still gave it intrigue, right? Which I think was the goal here, is they wanted a character to kind of drive the story, so to speak, of the house.
They don't need it, though. How many seasons do I have to say this? Just give me Big Brother. I could give 2 shits about your cutesy little theme or whatever. Just give me Summer House, whatever theme. I could give 2 shits about
give me
the theme.
16 people at each other's throats for 3 months. That's all I need. The
Right.
show is good enough on its own.
Yeah, I don't need a theme.
We don't need to make it bigger and better, because like on the movie show, we always talk about Jurassic Park sequels, Predator sequels, whatever, about how this time around.
This is your other girlfriend.
Yes.
Your other podcast.
Other girlfriends, plural. Please, they listen.
Oh, sorry,
they listen.
sorry.
And we always talk about how like they've got to make the T-Rex bigger and better and mutated. Like they've got to make the Predator. They've got to double them and make them this like weird hybrid thing. Like these things are fucking awesome on their own. There's a reason that they're considered to be the best monsters, the best killers in movie history, is because they've just established themselves as that through the first 3 movies of the franchise or whatever. We don't need to redo it to give it this like interesting twist, like, oh, now the Predator can fly, right? Like, oh, now the T-Rex has fucking laser vision. You know what I mean? It can just be this cool thing, and then everything around it is what makes it new and interesting. Like your cast should be what makes the season new and interesting,
right?
Not everything else around them.
Right. I think that's a really good point. I think we spend way too much time on these kind of gimmicks when I'm like, no, I just give me more of the players, give me more strategy and backstabbing and blindsides and backdoors and all of that. But yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed with the Mastermind reveal. Just kind of like, okay, next, let's go on and see who wins this thing now. So, yeah, let's dive right into HOH round 1.
Right. So they I think it was obviously like pre-recorded, but it's one of those where I hate when they start a comp at the end of the episode. I hate it.
And they just fade to black.
Yeah, because I want to see it. And what would be better is if it would push you to the live feeds to watch it happen in real time. But if you go to the live feeds, yeah, but they normally cut it at a certain point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then why am I here, right? Like I think we've stopped tuning in to competitions live because I don't want to put 30, 40, 50 minutes into something if I don't know how it's going to end no matter what, right? But what are they, hovercrafts? I guess it looks like something out of a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
And it's an endurance comp, right? Like you're being spun around.
It looks hard.
It looks really hard.
They're holding on to these like hand grips, and then their feet are kind of slotted in. They're kind of just like Supermaning it, and then they have to hold. It's almost like an inverted like plank in the air, and you're spinning.
Yeah,
is what's happening.
It looks like it sucks.
Yeah, looks big time sucky.
Ashley drops pretty fast, right?
Yeah,
and then it's Vince and Morgan. They're aligned, right? They've got this supposed final two, and Morgan comes out with the win, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And Vince even says like, all right, I think I'm going to be okay because Morgan, is going to get the bye, and he's not. Spoiler alert, but.
I'll ruin it now. My quote of the week is from Vince, and it's at this point in the HOH round 1. He says, "Biologically, I can't do spinning."
Biologically, I can't do spinning.
Yeah, I think is that science?
I guess so.
Is that like with you?
Does that just mean
in the car,
like the
when
human
you
body?
Get nauseous?
Yeah,
No.
I guess it just means that he gets motion sickness.
Well, biologically, he can't do spinning. So just to recap, Vince has human chemistry,
human connection, chemistry,
with Morgan, and then he biologically can't do spinnings. I don't know. We got to get the scientists out on Vince because he's got some interesting chemistry and biology happening with him.
Yeah, maybe just get him a thesaurus.
Yeah.
Or just get him to look in the mirror. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess motion sickness takes him out, and then
Which
Morgan
you can
comes
relate.
out. Big time. I mean, if I'm spinning around, I'll probably yak or
you can barely ride passenger seat when I'm driving.
No, I can't do car rides. In the last year, I've thrown up in the car twice. Two times.
That's a bummer.
Outside of the car, technically.
Right, but because
not
of
in
the
the
car.
car.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was one time we were driving in the windy, mountainous.
Is this on the Blue Ridge Parkway?
Yeah.
Outside of Charlottesville, Virginia? Yeah, that was one of the worst car rides of my life.
Yeah, and you were fighting for your life, and I was just absolutely, tone deaf to what was happening. You were sitting up front because when Matt is passenger, he is passenger princess. He must ride in the front passenger seat in order to help with his motion sickness.
Hangover or no hangover, I will get sick in the backseat of a car.
Yeah, he's a sensitive little guy. And I'm in the back of the car making jokes, and I'm making fake vomit noises.
It's not even like malicious. It's like she said something gross, and then she goes, "Huh," and I just whipped around, and I said, "What the fuck are you doing?"
And I was like, "Oh, sorry, buddy."
We got to lock in, and then I believe it was a silent car ride.
Yeah, I was pretty quiet the rest of the ride after that. I was like, "Yeah, that sucks." That was pretty shitty. I think that was the debut of Horns Up, Horns Down in the car. Yeah.
Which I honestly could be useful to Vince if Vince ever hears I kind of hope that Vince never hears this show.
Well, what is Horns Up, Horns Down? What do you mean by that?
So if you have nausea issues like I do, if you get car sick,
sensitive little tummy tum.
Sometimes you reach to a certain point where you can't speak, and you have to be so focused on not puking all over the inside of your friend's Honda CRV that you just have to be locked the fuck in.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're in a car with people who, let's say, care about you, you're told that these three people care about you, your wife and your best friends.
Why did that have air quotes around it?
They're going to check in on you about every 20 to 25 seconds. And at a certain point, you just can't answer them anymore. So what I do is I put the horns up, just the devil horns. Just put them up like this. This is for the people watching on YouTube. As long as the horns are up, everything's okay. That's the signal. If those horns start to come down, and if you're lucky, you can give a progression of them coming down. That is you sending the signal to everyone.
The car must be pulled over.
It must be. If it's not pulled over yet, turn your blinker on, and also everyone shut up. Everyone shut up until further notice. So for all my car sick homies out there, try the horn trick next time if you're feeling like you're not up to verbally communicating with your drivers and passengers. I've also just admitted to everyone how high maintenance I am in the car.
Yeah, he is.
That's why I normally drive.
Yeah, and that's why by default I am passenger princess, because he has to drive everywhere. Otherwise, those horns will be going down.
If you see me out and we're hanging out, ask for the video of me hanging out of my friend's car, going 85 miles an hour in Raleigh. That was, I think, the last iteration of car sickness going a little too far. Yeah, that was a good day.
Biologically, I guess you can't do car rides.
Yeah, I guess I can't biologically ride in the car either, Vince, so I sympathize. So Morgan comes out, pulls the win, which means she gets a bye. She goes straight to round 3 because rounds 2 and 3 are going to be one-on-one on who is HOH going into live, or I guess, is it technically live eviction? I guess so. I mean, she says she chooses to evict.
Yeah.
So Morgan gets to move straight on to round 3, which means round 2 is between Vince and Ashley, which is interesting because we're already starting to see the cracks form between Vince and Morgan. And I would say before this competition, the paranoia of will I be the one chosen for the finale has already come up with Vince, and I think Ashley as well. Because that is the kind of only interesting thing left in the final 3 is like the deepest connections do start to really, mistrust.
I'll disagree with you there for a second. I don't think Ashley was paranoid. I think Vince was paranoid. Yes, Ashley was not paranoid. Ashley laid the groundwork for herself to sit in either one of those final 2 chairs. She was trying to continue to downplay her game, being like, oh, I'm just playing for second place. Take me. You're going to win if you take me because it's, I'm just here for second place. Yeah. You will guarantee yourself the $750,000, Vince or Morgan, if you take me. Vince, on the other hand, was paranoid with Morgan. He's looking at Morgan constantly being like, are we going to be friends outside of this game? We both live in LA. Are we going to be friends? Or you have him going to Morgan saying, are you going to pick me for final 2? Like, I'm going to be really upset. And constantly over the last 72 hours, it was Morgan, are you going to be my friend after this? Morgan, are you going to pick me to be final 2? And he wouldn't shut up about it. So much to the point that like, in lives, Morgan and him were sitting on the hammock together, and she got up to like go do her laundry,
right,
kind of in the middle of the conversation, because she's like, I just need a minute.
Well, I guess that's a good time to bring up what the lives looked like the last couple of days. So Saturday night, we thought, hey, let's tune into lives just one more time, right? Because this is the last hurrah before the season ends for us, and maybe we'll get some like real deep conversations, like people, like some real, like opening it up, some real like interesting like human moments, which is kind of the appeal of the live feed sometimes.
Now I was looking for some more human connection between Morgan.
Admittedly, we also wanted to see what was going down between Vince and Morgan, and lo and behold, it's just more of Vince like having a fucking panic attack. And
meltdown, groveling, begging, pleading.
That's the thing is Ashley is assuring Morgan that she's playing for second place. Vince is begging to be considered, to be allowed to play for second place. And I don't know, man. Like I think that maybe he thought the desperation would assure her that he's okay for second place, because like he like knows like deep down that he's not going to win. Or maybe he really was just not even thinking about gameplay in that moment, and he just wanted to have something to leave this season with, right? Because he even says this in the DR. He says, am I going to leave here with nothing, no money, no girlfriend, whatever? So it seemed like he just wanted to make sure that this summer was for something, which I mean anyone would, right? But like it was real desperation.
Right, and to be fair, each of these players that go on Big Brother receive a stipend. So
yeah, they get paid.
While you don't win the $750K for first, $75K for second, America's Favorite Player with $50K. Fourth place, I believe Ava got, I think there were rumors that she got like $25K. So that means Vince is probably, sorry, not Vince. Morgan is sitting somewhere in between $25K and $50K, you could assume.
Good for her. Based
on what fourth place gets and what America's Favorite Player gets. So she didn't walk out with $0, right? But in round 2 HOH, it's another kind of classic competition where people are on this zip line kind of thing, and they need to swing back and forth and knock against these 3 big platforms with stacked blocks.
Yeah.
You knock
like
down
a human wrecking ball.
Right. Human wrecking ball. There's 3 different platforms. You need to knock down basically this wall of blocks. You get them all knocked down. You run down. You look on the back of them for, this time it was former house guest players' faces.
Mm-hmm.
You have to reassemble them in a certain order, and then it'll give you a code that you need to read the directions for, and then get that code, lock in, win.
I'm glad you mentioned something really crucial about that competition, that you get a code and you need to read the directions on that card.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened was, it was a 3x2 grid of former house guests. You know, you had Rachel and Will and whoever on the first row, and then there was a bottom row of 3. And Vince and Ashley both make the same mistake. They misread the clue for it to be the days in which each of these house guests were voted out.
Yeah.
Which arguably is harder to recall.
Absolutely.
Right? Like needling those days. Was it day this, day that, day this, day this? Right? It's a little bit more challenging. I think both of them are like, oh, it's the hardest thing is the days. We always talk about.
Right. It's what they practice the most in the house. So you're just like conditioned to approach every problem with that information.
And that's not what it was. It was the order in which people got out. So, you know, Zay was first, and then Amy, and then this person. So it was just looking for the numerical order in which they were ejected from the game.
Yeah.
And Ashley reread her clue and was like, oh, fuck.
Right,
I was doing it wrong. And then she very slowly, as to not raise any eyebrows with Vince, she changes her method and is able to complete it.
And Vince, I think, had a pretty decent lead on like the physical
He
side. He knocked over all of his blocks quicker than she did.
He did.
Morgan's watching on alongside Frankie, right? Frankie
Yep.
came out to host this one, and they both like realize, they being Morgan and Frankie on the sidelines, realize that, I think they realize that Vince is getting it wrong before Ashley has even started. And as Vince continues to buzz in over and over and over again, and he gets that you know, that just the aggressive sound, like it sucks to hear it in any which way, but when you are that, when the adrenaline's pumping like that, I understand his freak out in this moment. It doesn't make it any harder or any easier to watch, but I fucking get it, dude.
I also get it, but he has an absolute meltdown.
It's the crash out of the season.
And absolutely just saying, this is fucking right. You know, he's switching. I think it was day like 75. He switched to 76, 74, 70. He's like, it's fucking right. I don't understand. You know, he's screaming basically at Big Brother in production, being like, no, you're wrong. And if you're ever feeling like that is the case in any of these competitions, most likely it's not the competition's fault. It's probably your fault, human error. What's wrong? What am I doing incorrectly? Go read the clue again. You see this happen all the time on Amazing Race. People misread the clue. They're driving to this location, going here, going there. They have to do this very specific thing in this very specific order, in this very specific way. They might not read it correctly. They might get a penalty. Vince, this doesn't happen in Big Brother very, very often. And granted, there's not a ton of reading involved in these competitions. So like this is, you know, that was unique that he did have to like read the prompt and it wasn't a verbal prompt.
I think that's easier.
Yeah, it probably is because you get to look and reread and reread.
You know how often we're watching these comps at home and they get started and I go, what were the directions? That would be my biggest challenge in the house, is listening to the directions of the comps and not being able to read them up until this point.
Yeah.
This seems like an advantageous spot to be in, to be able to read it for yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, apparently that did hurt him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what, you know.
Well, it's just a horrible mistake. And you know, he collapses, right? And Morgan goes over to console the child. And he kind of, I mean, he doesn't like push her away.
He kind of snaps at her.
Well, he rejects her. He says, no, I need 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
I need a couple minutes by myself. And he's like sitting on the ground and he's cursing at himself and just kind of yelling. He's not even yelling words. He's just like exclaiming into the world. Obviously like his frustration, and he's saying this is it. This sealed my fate.
Well, he said, quote, "I just lost $750K because I can't read directions," which I was like, Vince, you're kind of wrong. You lost $750K because you didn't know how to manage a jury and be nice to people in the house and be on, at least, I don't want to say honest or nice actually, because I think, you know, the game's about lying, but I'll go back to what someone said in the jury roundtable, unnecessarily lying to people. You did a lot of that.
And
that's what lost you your game. Not because you couldn't win this challenge, because guess what? You were taking a final 2 anyways. Another quote he had was, "I worked my ass off for 3 months and I can't win when I need to," which he didn't need to win that one in hindsight, right? Because he did get taken. So, you know, the one quote that did ring true that he said in that moment was, "I don't deserve to win the game."
That was brutal. I mean, that's a brutal admission, dude. And I do hope that he's able to look back and realize that, because look, Vince came out of this house and his life, I mean, everyone's life changed, but like the dude went through some shit. I mean, we've been making fun of him the entire season of this podcast.
So is
right?
Jimmy, so it's okay.
Yeah, right. Like he's been through a lot of crazy shit. He kind of it seemed like he had a pseudo breakdown in the house, you know, on national television,
which I can feel for.
Absolutely. And so at least hopefully he can come out of this and realize, and this is like a shitty consolation, but well, at least I didn't blow it up for myself in that moment, because I lost to Ashley and Morgan was never going to take me, because that is a really, it's the most important thing that comes out of her exit interview with Taylor, is that she said her last final move was that she was going to burn Vince and take Ashley to the final, which is amazing, because then that would have really been,
I would have loved to see that.
It could have been a split jury, right?
No,
so,
I think Morgan.
You think Morgan takes it?
Morgan takes it if she does that.
I mean, and Ashley has the right read, right? Like she knew that was going to be the case, which is why she takes Vince. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but you know, as in this moment of Vince convincing himself or just announcing to the world, "Oh, I lost the game in this moment." Not the case, and hopefully he can realize that. I mean, it's a shitty thing to just realize, oh, you were screwed either way, but at least you don't have to be so hard on yourself.
Well, let's not forget the consolation prize is also second place and $75K.
Yeah.
That's his consolation prize.
Yeah, $75K that Morgan doesn't have.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that, I don't know, if it were me, if I am Morgan and I have this human chemistry with Vince, and he's acting like this in that moment, like this, and again, I definitely sympathize with it in that, like, he felt like he was watching the last decade of his dreams come crumbling down in front of him, right? I get that. That's like such a, you know, crazy out of body experience. I'm sure he was feeling and didn't know what to do with it. But at the same time, like, if I'm looking at someone as like could be or could not be, potentially, maybe not, a romantic interest in the future, I'm going to tell you what, that was huge red flags. Like, you can't handle yourself under pressure. You were trying to brush me off when I was trying to console you. You were, you know, basically having this tantrum on live TV. And that would just be a huge red flag for me, you know, especially if I was Morgan sitting in that position where she was like witnessing that firsthand. Like, it was just, yeah, dude, like it just didn't, I don't know if that is gonna, you know, have a long-term impact on him or not.
I have this written down under this part of the finale, under this specific competition, and I might be wrong on the timing here, but I really want to point it out that at one point Vince is upset and he tells Morgan, "I already know you guys are taking each other." Mm-hmm. Was that here? I think it was when he's having this spectacular crash out, right? And if it wasn't here, it was like right afterwards when she's consoling him.
It was afterwards.
Where, like, again, somehow you managed to make it even worse for yourself, because you're telling your number one, no matter what doubts you have, you're already telling your number one that you've essentially given up on the two of you writing this out together.
Right.
Because you've resigned to the fact that she's choosing someone else over you. Even if that's the case, why put that out there? Like, you're just putting out a negative point of conversation between the two of you. You're pointing out, you know, the end of your relationship. And when I say relationship, just two people inside the house. Human connection, right? Again, like, just every time you think it's done, it just gets a little worse, dude.
Yeah, I mean, his angle could have been like, Morgan, like, if I win, I am going to take you to the end. If I win the final HOH, I'm going to take you to the end because this has been like an awesome ride together. Like, reflect on the good things. Make her feel guilty if she doesn't take you by saying how blindsided you would be and just like, or like not like mentioning that specifically, but just like really hammering in on like what I would do. You know, I would take you. We're ride or dies. Let's ride or die together. Like, this is so awesome. Like, really, really push that agenda and less of the like kind of whiny crybaby stuff. Yeah. Because then if I'm Morgan, I'd be like, well, he already thinks this. So like, I'm glad he softened the blow for himself over the past few days. Cause like, this is how I'm not going to take him. And like he's acting like a child and I'm gonna, you know, he can figure it out for himself. Why I didn't take him.
The guilt stuff only works, and I'm not even going to say that it doesn't work. It only works early in the season, right? Because you're trying to kind of further your game along without knowing people very well at that point. And the reason I reference this is, like, I remember day one when Zach had the opportunity to choose the next have-not, right? And he wants to choose, people volunteer. He wanted to choose Lauren because he had his eye on her, potential showmance, whatever. He ends up choosing Ava because she's given the puppy dog eyes, and he just feels kind of bad for her. She's kind of acting like a misfit of the house in that moment. So I'm not even going to say that guilting doesn't work, isn't a tactic that you can use inside the house. But why try that on day 79 or whatever, when you've only got two people left and they know everything about you?
I think what I was saying earlier, to your point, I think I'm talking about two different types of guilting someone, right? Yeah. Like, I think that outright guilt of what he was doing is like, oh, you're going to take each other. Like, oh, like, fuck me then. Like, oh, like, I can't believe you're going to do this. Da, da, da. Like, that is like a more outward facing guilt tactic where it's almost like reverse psychology guilt is what I was saying. Yeah. Like, hyping up the good, being like, oh, I can't wait till we're final two together. Oh, this is going to be so awesome. Like, da, da, da. Like, hype that up and not like the negative side of it, because I would, at least me, I would feel a little bitter about that, being like, why are you attacking me based off of your perception? Right. I never said anything that would indicate that to you. This is just your perception of the matter. And like, that's wrong. You're
vilifying Morgan by saying that. No matter 100%. What,
That's
you're
what I was trying
making
to
her
say.
feel like she is doing something wrong by taking Ashley over you, whether that's the case or not. And so again, it's just another way to burn. And guess what? I guess he was right. Like, he said that he knew that he was out. We saw him basically beg for his life the night before the finale. But either way, dude, like, just, I don't know. I know we've said this before. A little dignity is important at the end of the day. No matter how small it may be, just have a little bit. And I think all of that was lost after this competition, dude.
It was rough.
So what that means is that the final HOH comp
Round 3
is between Morgan and Ashley live on finale night. And this is essentially like when your first day of the semester in college, 2 truths and a lie. Right? How many times did you do that in college, by the way?
2 truths and a lie?
Yeah.
I feel like we did it a lot more so in like corporate America. That shit was so annoying. I would get so much anxiety over that.
Well, because like, what do you say that's like it's you're supposed to like say something interesting about like, yourself.
Cool.
But like, I'm like, I don't know. The only interesting things I have to say will probably get me in trouble at the office. Like, guess what? I have a podcast where my wife and I make crude jokes about reality TV players. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's the oldest
icebreaker
game in the book, I guess.
Yeah, I hate the game in a corporate
communications
setting.
In college. I feel like it was every class, like I would do it like 4 or 5 times a day on like syllabus week. So this is basically the $750,000 version of that, right, where they read off facts about just the season.
Well, it's super nuanced too. So we talk about, you know, throughout the season, kind of getting in on some of the games that they're playing for HOH and veto, stuff like that, where it is factual based, or like watch this clip or listen to this audio, like, you know, recite this back to us, where like I feel like I can kind of participate and be like, oh yeah, I got all these right for the HOH comp as a viewer. This one was way harder because it's asking, you know, how many or saying how many votes that this person got on this day. So like there are multiple points in the sentence in one single fact that could be wrong.
Yeah.
And so you're really having to dissect. And I feel like the only way that you can rattle this stuff off is, one, if you don't have a memory like a goldfish like myself, or two, you are there living and breathing the game as a house guest.
Yeah.
Where that's how you're retaining the information, able to rattle it off quickly. And Morgan, she started out strong in this, and she slowly but surely crumbled. And after every right answer Ashley got that Morgan got wrong, my mouth was just on the floor. I was like, oh my God, Morgan is losing this right now. Holy shit, she's gonna lose. Ashley's gonna win.
Yeah.
Ashley won the third HOH.
It turned into great television. Like, finally, there were like real stakes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like last season, we knew it was pretty clear how it was going to go. We knew that Cam was going to go home between, well, I guess it depended on who won. But like, I just feel like it was much more of a toss-up this time around. And I guess more shocking, right? Because Mackenzie won last season. She won the competition, and she chose to take Chelsea.
Right.
Which we've said has cost her the game.
100%.
And that's like widely considered to be the case.
Except for giving us the best line in the DR.
Shout out to the dogs in the crib.
Yeah, I love that every single time. That was super entertaining. He seems like a really great, nice guy. But he didn't really do anything game-wise and just kind of rode on everyone's coattails. So if Mackenzie in that moment picked Cam to go to Final 3 from last season, then like she would have won.
Yeah. And
she picked Chelsea. Chelsea had the far better game than Mackenzie just overall. So Chelsea won. So same position, right? Ashley could have done the noble thing, quote unquote, pick the better player and go up against the best. You gotta go up against the best to be the best, which I don't believe in at all. You got to go against who you think you can win against.
Yeah.
Which she thought it was Vince. And she was right. And if she would have picked Morgan, I think we would have had a different outcome of this game. And so I think Ashley did what Mackenzie could not do.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
100%.
If you watch this show, and you want to play the game, if you want to be, on the show, you learn from previous fuck ups, and like that will always be, I think, a huge mistake.
Right.
And again, like Mackenzie carries herself like, oh well, I don't regret a thing. That's great. Like, first of all, you're not on The Amazing Race now. Chelsea is. And just I'm just pointing that out. Like, they weren't interested in the number 2 from her season. They were interested in the biggest and loudest players, Angela and Tucker, and then the winner, Chelsea.
And
right?
You're not on BB Unlocked hosting being the fantasy correspondent who Chelsea was. Chelsea was on our TV screens every other week.
Right.
Right. And now she's on Amazing Race with her dad, which is very sweet to see. So yeah, you're not getting the callbacks, and you're just, figuring it out.
Right. We're just figuring it out, you guys. And I left a comment asking for a new episode, by the way. He didn't get back to me. So
from one Matt to the other, you think he'd get back to you?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not like it's Big Brother week. They're all together. You could have brought the podcast rig out to California, man. You could have banked 6 or 7 episodes with all these alums. You gotta have podcaster brain. I guess he's still figuring that out too.
Yeah.
So Ashley comes out and she makes the correct decision, which is she evicts Morgan. She takes Vince to the final. Pretty soon after that, I love watching like Julie kind of explain to the audience what's going to happen next, while in the background we see Vince and Ashley go to opposite corners of the room and just start moving their hands and like reciting their own talking points and stuff like that. Do you think in that moment anyone is ever listening to their opponent and is thinking of counterpoints on the fly? I guess it doesn't matter, because how do you know if you're going first or not?
I mean, to me, I would just be blacking out during that moment. So I have no idea if they would be listening or not, right? Because I think at that point, it's not responding to what your opponent has to say potentially about you or their game or whatever. It is truly about, how do I articulate myself in my game? Like, stay in my lane, look at what I did and how I navigated and how I can pitch myself. Like, I don't really care what the other person's doing. That's at least what I would think. But I was just a teeny little bit shocked that she did end up taking Vince. Not for the fact that, like, I thought she was smart. Like, I thought, you know, from the logical side, Ashley was always going to take Vince because she knew that Morgan's game was way too good and she had a better chance with Vince, right? Like, I had confidence in Ashley that she would make that logical decision that Mackenzie could not last season. But what I was shocked at, because of, you know, how everyone was dressed, was that she picked Vince, because Vince was actually dressed like he was going to be going home. Morgan looked hot. Ashley looked hot. They were in their nice finale outfits. And then you have Vince in a beanie and a quarters. I mean, basically like this kind of sweatshirt that I'm wearing. Like, just Keanu's in a freaking full suit.
Keanu looked good in the suit.
Keanu looked great.
Everyone looked great. You know,
Rachel had her gown on. All of the pre-jury people looked great. Jimmy was in his flashy
like
suit.
Like sequin sports jacket.
Yeah, Mickey looked great in her kind of pointed shoulder red dress. Like, they all looked great.
Riley's cowboy hat somehow got bigger. It was even bigger.
Yeah. And then you had Vince.
I mean, do you think it's different for like the guys in the house though? Because they showed
because every single one of the other guys this season was dressed nicely.
Yeah, but
was dressed like they were at the finale of their favorite show ever. Right, Vince?
I go back to 2 seasons ago, Jag and Matt's exit together. Neither of them are like super spruced up. I think Matt's wearing like a backwards baseball hat coming out of the Big Brother house.
It's the juxtaposition of having Morgan and Ashley up there looking great. Like, they're ready to give their finale speech. Like, they have got it going on. And honestly, when I saw in the first 30 seconds of the finale, I was like, oh, Vince isn't getting taken. What he said was true. They are going to take each other because he's dressed like that. Why else would he be dressed like that?
Sure.
I'm sorry, Vince, but dressing like that is not doing your best. It's not.
Oh, shit.
Right? Like, Pac dressed like that the entire season. Pac one nice finale outfit, right?
Yeah. Put on a tux. Grab a tux from the costume
I don't
room.
even need a tux. Just give me a plain shirt.
Some buttons.
Maybe a button or two. Maybe a collar of sorts.
Yeah.
Just maybe just a solid color shirt I would have taken that. But this like Patagonia looking ass, like he's been camping in the wilderness for 3 weeks now, and then he was thrust into the finale of Big Brother. That's what I felt like I was watching with Vince's outfit.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of assumed that he had resigned days ago at this point, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I mean, maybe it also could be true that he just maybe brought no other clothes. I mean,
guess
we saw
so.
He wore like the same couple of flannels the entire season for the most part. I do love that the beanie stuck around all the way through finale night. We committed to the bit.
It would have been funny if he was in a suit and had the beanie on.
That'd be
like
cool.
I would have been like, okay, that's funny. Like he's dressing up, but he's also like, you know, keeping up with his bit of the beanie thing. Like that would have been funny to me. But the whole like, I don't know, it seemed a little bit disrespectful in my mind when you have these two gorgeous girls dressed up fantastically and the whole cast was dressed up nice, and then I don't know,
it's like just
do a little better. If that's your best, maybe try doing a little better. I don't know.
Well, his best didn't get him there,
No,
right?
it didn't.
I mean, that's
his best got him second place.
And by the way, he has kind of stuck to that narrative of like, I did my best, you guys, which is like, if you did your best, that's fine. Look, jury management, he finally owned up to it. He had awful jury management. It's a part of the game. As much as we clowned on people like Mickey for talking about, I want this person in jury, this jury, don't talk about it, but at least think about it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he strikes me as someone who he never wants anyone to be mad at him. He can't take the heat. And that's why he ended up lying to everyone, because he went with like path of least resistance.
Right. He was placating them. He wanted to feed them whatever they wanted to hear to help him in that very moment get through the conversation, instead of being like, if I say I win this veto and I'm going to use it on them, would I really use it? Like, he easily could have said in so many different moments, like, yeah, like, I'll have to think about that if that's the case. Like, I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with it. Like, obviously, like, I will consider using it on you, but like, you know, but time and time again, he's there like, yes, I will use this veto for you. And then like, it was all a lie.
Yeah.
Right. And like, no one asked you to say that, but here you are giving these tidbits out, these unnecessary lies. And I think maybe Rachel said that in the round table, but I think that was really definitive of what happened.
Yeah. The unnecessary lying is a really good term to coin for Vince's downfall. I mean, among, I feel like many other things, but that was like at its core, the biggest issue. And it's like, dude, when you've got, and look, I'll even say you had to your advantage that Kelly was calling you a liar for a little while, because like no one was trusting Kelly either. No one really cared about what she had to say. But then when more people are coming out one by one, Vince lied. Like, I think you could have seen it way earlier than he actually did. But maybe at a certain point he just realized, all right, I've started down this path, so I've got to continue this way because the people I want out are getting out. So I've just got to ride this out. But I mean, should we get into their speeches, or do we want to do jury questions first? Because he says something in his speech that if he had any chance, he just squashed it like a bug. He says at one point, like, I was kind of winging it, right? And I can't remember the exact words that he used, but the term winging it was thrown out there. And I just can't imagine in any situation where that is going to be to your advantage, whether that was the case or not. Dude, you've been lying all season. Lie a little longer. Lie a little longer about everything. Take credit for everything that Morgan did, that Ashley did. Morgan's not up there to give a rebuttal speech, so why not you just take over Morgan's game? Everyone says that you were playing Morgan's game. Yeah. Morgan was going to win. So why don't you just
own everything?
Put your name on the top of the paper and turn it in.
Yeah, because you'd get an A, right? So I think too, something that he did do to the jury, though, he did lie to the jury, because someone asked, was all the crying for real or game or what? And he's like, no, it was all real. But if we go back and rewind, there is a moment where I think maybe he's crying to Keanu.
It's worse. It's Rachel.
Oh, was it Rachel? That's right. That's right. And
where we even said on this show, why of all the people in the house, why is he trying this with Rachel Rylie?
Yeah, and he basically is in the diary room after it's like, spliced together with him crying to Rachel, and he's like, yeah, I'm playing it up a little bit, whatever. I want him in that moment. I think if you gotta hit the jury with just everything's a game move. Everything is. That's what I'd be like, yeah, every single tear I cried, fake. I was manipulating all of you, right? Like, if the jury already thinks that you are burning all these bridges with them, own it. But
that's the thing.
Harness it and be like, yes, I am diabolical Vince. I manipulated all of you. Like, this is why I should win. I studied the games of Dan Giesling and Dr. Will and all of these people and Derek, and I did all of these things, and you bought into all of my crying, and I cried every single step of the way, and all of those tears were fake. Tell me everything was fake. Because now I'm confused as a juror, right? Like, especially if I'm going back and watching the season, and, you know, obviously the jury can't go back and watch the season at this point in reality, right? Like, you're in the jury, you can't see it. But, you know, some of those pre-jurors must have been sitting there like laughing their asses off, where like, this man is like lying and it's not even helping him in this moment.
Yeah, and that's another example of, like, it just shows who he is, like, as a player, as a person, right? Like, I think he's letting just his personality affect his game too much, of that. In that moment, they're asking Vince, were you telling the truth when you were crying to us? I think in his head, he goes, well, if I tell them that I was faking it, they're going to be more mad at me.
Right.
So
he's like, how do I get out?
Again, it's like path of least resistance, quickest way to end the confrontation. Because that's a confrontational question.
Right.
That's not a Vince, name your 3 best moves. It's a, hey, were you fucking with me? Were you lying to my face,
been like,
Vince?
Yes. The second I stepped in this house, everything was a game move.
Yeah.
Everything. Me sharing a personal story to you about this time in my life, me, doing the dishes, and you asked for ketchup that one time from the fridge, and I was across the room and I ran up and got it for you. Like, everything has to be a game move. Say I was locked in the whole time, but he couldn't do that. On the other hand, you have Ashley, who was saying, yeah, all that ditziness that you thought I was doing, and that's just who I was. That was all a lie. That was all game move.
Yeah.
Snaps to that. Like, great. That was fantastic way to articulate that. And she even said it, I think it was right before jury started. She said, once jury hits, I'm going to need a lock in. I'm done playing this like silly little game that I've been playing, but I've just needed to like lower my threat level before then. And jury is going to be a different game for me. And I think that's really what we were looking at. And, you know, jury felt a little quick this season, but I think she was able to do that. And if we want to continue to compare things to last season, Leah from last season, this whole time I was watching and I was like, oh, she's this great player. She's this like, she's brilliant. She's manipulating people. She's like and then like, it wasn't. The dust settled and she was like, oh yeah. Like, I don't know. I was just like, you know, doing stuff. And I'm like, no, I wanted you to be like, yes, I was this mastermind and I orchestrated these things and everything was a game move. Like, give me that. And I think that was to her detriment. Obviously, she didn't make it to, I think she was 4, right? 4th place, 5th place?
No, I think she was out.
Was she out earlier than that?
Earlier than that.
I don't know. I can't remember things. I'm my goldfish memory here. But, you know, with her and Vince's game, I wanted them both to just own the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just own it. Give me something. Give me something to be like, okay, you're not this type or that type of person, but like you were playing everything game. Yeah. Everything was strategy.
Well, that's the thing is Ashley was able to tie her game in her speech to one single thing, which is that I've been duping all of you.
Right.
And I think that when you have a matter of whatever it is, 60 seconds, 90 seconds on live television in front of 8 people who decide whether you get $750,000 or not, there's a lot of rambling, or a lot of what can be perceived as rambling because you're talking fast. You've got Julie Chen Moonves saying, wrap it up, right?
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. So I think you have to have a thesis, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a thesis. You have to have a defining point of your speech. And that's what Ashley had, was that I've duped everything. I go back to Jag.
Yeah.
The thesis of Jag's speech was that I controlled everything that Matt did. So it's not even a competition. It's not even a decision whether Matt deserves it or not. He's sitting here because of me. We're sitting here together because of me. Everything that he's going to tell you guys about, I actually controlled, right? That was the thesis. That was the theme of his speech.
Yeah, it flipped the power dynamic, and everything else after that, you know, could have been looked as defensive or trying to make up for that fact or talk around that fact. But like once that fact is already out there, like you can't really like even Vince stood up afterwards like, I'm really unemployed. Like, I don't know what you want me to say to that.
That was pretty funny,
like,
by the way.
Okay, honestly, maybe lie about that. Be like, yeah, I'm a rocket scientist. Or I don't know.
Just
like,
give him something to, right? Well, like, I think Vince really relied on just being an every man's kind of guy.
But I don't want to be.
Well, it's not enough. It's just not enough to get you there.
Don't tell me. I would rather you tell me nothing than tell me what I want to hear and then fucking backstab me later. And that right there, that sentence right there can sum up the entirety of Vince's game.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Sit on that for a
right.
second. You know?
You're right.
Like, don't tell me anything at all.
You can't respect.
Nod and smile and give me some yas and like, damn, that sucks, man. You know, hit me with some of those so that when I leave the game, I'm not going back and be like, oh yeah, Vince did say he was going to do all this and do that. And he was going to do all this stuff for me. But turns out he did have a final two with everyone that he couldn't remember, you know, like, and I think that's the difference between a winner, an exceptional winner, and a loser.
Damn, ice cold.
And I'm talking about capital L loser, right? Like in the game, you lost. There are 16 losers this season, right?
Yes. Now
the personal lowercase L loser, that's none of my business.
Well, it's none of anyone's business, but it's been made everyone's business.
But I'm sure gonna poke my little nose in it and sniff around in there.
And we've got more on that. But yeah, I think that's a great point. And honestly, just as we're talking about this in real time, we clowned on Vince all season for making a final two with seemingly everyone in the house. That could have been the theme to his speech. Raise your hand if I had a final two with you. Look around, guys.
Well, I'm pretty sure people.
And I'm here and you're not.
Well, that question was already asked.
I'm
for
here
him
and they're not.
On
Right?
behalf
I
of
guess.
him.
I guess you're right. Yeah. How many final twos, right? And he couldn't. And he
but
couldn't
again,
figure
I
it out.
talked about this in I think one of our previous episodes is that you can have multiple final twos with people, but I think it's to your benefit if it is within your maybe wider alliance, right? Because if he had a final two with Rachel, if he had a final two with Will and Morgan and Ashley, right? Those are all the people in the Judge Alliance. It'd be like, okay, like there had to be kind of like a, you know, an order, a pecking order, if you will, along with that. But, and you know, maybe that makes sense, but he's kind of making final twos with literally anyone who will breathe in his direction, which I think comes across as desperate. And especially if you can't nurture them and continue to foster those good relationships throughout the entirety of the game, which he was not able to do. And that's what I think was the true detriment to him. And I don't think it's a bitter jury. I don't. People were like, oh, the jury's so bitter. Vince deserved to win. Da, da, da. No, he did have to manage. There's a difference between a broken bridge and a burned bridge. And you can break bridges with multiple people, but guess what? You have to find an opportunity to repair those bridges. Whether it's telling someone the truth, hey, I'm so sorry, I am gonna vote with the house tonight. I'm voting to evict you tonight. So I'm so sorry. This is why. Whatever. Give it away in your goodbye speech to the person, right? Like you see in a few seasons, I can't remember who exactly they were, but and Ashley did a little bit this season, is using your goodbye message to the evicted house guest as a selling point for you in the future. Yeah. Right? I'm talking to you now. You're evicted. I'm still in the house. I'm pulling the curtain back on things, and I am talking to you like just a human being and why I should win and why you need to see it a certain way. And I don't think he did any of that. He didn't do any damage control. He truly left all of his bridges burned. And that's not bitterness. That's just bad jury management.
It's just bad gameplay all around, right? He wasn't cut out for this. I don't think he was.
I mean, he was to some degree because he came in second, right?
I guess, okay, maybe that's a drastic statement to make. But he didn't have, I think, what it took socially to keep everyone happy. I mean, like the social game.
You don't have to keep everyone happy. You don't even have to keep everyone in the know. But that's kind of what he was doing. He was like, you will know my future moves. This person who I promised you that if I get pulled to pick veto, and if I win, that I will use it on you. Like one of my biggest,
You're right.
I always am. One of my biggest complaints in any season with any move people make is them talking about moves that are going to happen 5 moves from now, 4, 3, 2 moves from now. No. I'm not going to talk about what will happen if I win veto because I haven't even been picked yet. I don't know. Let's talk again once I get picked. Once I get picked, what am I going to do with it? I don't know. Let me go out there and play. I'm going to give it my all. And, let's talk again. I will consider using or not using it if I do win veto. But like right now, I truly don't know because the house changes hour to hour, day to day. So I don't know what the context of the situation is going to be if I do win. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe I tell someone, Matt, I will use the veto on you. And then I win. And I find out that you've been lying about me. And then I don't use it on me. And then you're going to come at me and be like, well, you said you were going to use the veto on me. And I'm like, well, I found out you lied. Yeah. So things changed. So don't make promises that you can't keep, or that very well could change as the day just progresses. Give people a little bit to chew on, but not the full thing. Right?
I feel like in any show like this, Big Brother, Survivor, anything that is months and months of watching people navigate this game, this type of game, the social part of it anyways, there are 2 different ways that you can have, I guess, takeaways, lessons learned. The first is you're watching a truly great player make spectacular moves, like Kyle on last season of Survivor. He did some really cool shit. Right?
I thought you were going to say Kyle from a few
no,
Big Brother ago.
No,
I was like, what?
No, fail.
Winner Kyle from last season of Survivor.
Like Kyle and Camilla did some cool shit on Survivor last season where it was like, wow, that's impressive. That people are going to take that approach that they had and they're going to dream of playing a game like that.
Yes. Him and Camilla ran that game. I will continue to say, I wish Camilla was sitting in those final chairs because she definitely would have gotten that win over him.
But this season of Big Brother, I think, was full of lessons learned, what not to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this season, I think it really was. It was defined by mistakes, and largely mistakes made by Vince.
Well, even
mistakes made by Mickey, mistakes made by Jimmy. I mean, mistakes made by Keanu. It was a lot of watching people, and Keanu. It was a lot of watching people show us what not to do in the game.
Well, it's funny that you say that because Taylor asked Ashley in her exit interview, would you come back and play again? And she was like, yeah, hopefully the next cast won't be as delusional as these guys. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what was happening.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like a bunch of mental patients in there at one point, but congratulations to Ashley. Congratulations
Absolutely.
To us on calling it, by the way. But
yeah, I mean, there's questions if she deserved it, if she didn't deserve it. She 100% deserved it.
Absolutely.
Because she played the last 72 hours of the game the exact way that I said that she needed to play them, which was to pull off the win in the final HOH, which, maybe that could or couldn't be in your control if Morgan is cooking and also coming up with the exact answers, right? Like, you don't know how that's going to go. But she did pull out that win. And then she did have a very, very, very exceptional final 2 speech that she was able to articulate her gameplay. She was able to say she needed to win when she needed to win. She needed to win that veto in the beginning, and she needed to win this final HOH. Mm-hmm. And that honestly took credibility away from Vince and all of his game, because he was like, yeah, I won all these HOHs. I won all this stuff and block button, veto, I won all these things. But Ashley was able to be like, well, I didn't need to do any of that. I needed to do it when I needed to do it. And Vince even said, like, I got all this blood on my hands and I had to figure out how to, make up and solve and put Band-Aids on those bullet holes, right? Like, yeah. And maybe he didn't, if he had all these final 2s, like he said he did, or forgot that he did, maybe he didn't need to win everything. And I think that is important because in the beginning of the game, I was heavily criticizing people throwing the competitions.
Yes.
Heavily. And I think I want to make it clear that I do think throwing a competition early in the game is bad because you don't know where the lay of the land is. You could be on the chopping block. No one knows who you are. You do want to get some power in the game, which Vince was obviously able to do as first HOH. I do think you have to play hard in the beginning. But then once the cards start to fall. You're able to kind of see and build trust. Maybe throwing a competition where you said you were going to use the veto on literally everyone sitting on the block would be good for you. And he did do some of that. But I don't think, he maybe needed to get all that blood on his hand. Did he need to nominate? What did he say? 9 people over half the house was nominated by Vince because of all of his HOH wins, right? Like, he didn't need to do that. Maybe he did need to play more through Morgan and then channel that and be like, yeah, Morgan was my ultimate pawn of this whole game, right? Like, I got her to do all this. I got her to do all that. Like, she was able to maneuver. She got all the blood on her hands, where I got to sit back and be like, I don't know, Morgan did that. But he couldn't let himself do that. He couldn't bring himself to do that in the game throughout the week. So I think that was really kind of what separated himself from some of the previous players, and how you mentioned like Jag and Matt's relationship a couple seasons ago. So
yeah. Do we want to get into it's not a lot to break down, but the jury vote was 7-1.
6-1.
6-1, right. 6-1, Ashley. And Vince got the sympathy vote from Morgan.
I don't know if it was sympathy. I think she
admitted that it was a sympathy vote.
Oh, she did?
In her exit interview with Taylor.
She said the word sympathy?
Maybe she didn't use the exact
I don't think
words.
she said the word sympathy.
She said that Vince deserved it, like, because of his story and everything.
Right, because she played so closely with him.
Yeah.
Like, I think she gave it to Vince because she was like, Vince's game was my game. That's why I wasn't going to bring him.
Sure.
So I think she voted for him because she worked so closely with him, and that's why. Like, I wouldn't chalk it up to his sympathy, because also she doesn't have the context that the other 6 jurors had in hindsight in the last several weeks with each other and sharing stories.
Who was it that we had an overhead view of their little bag?
It was Morgan's.
Was it Morgan's, where we just so clearly saw that she was leaving Ashley's key in the bag?
Yeah, she even said, she was like, she has this little, almost like a little bank envelope.
Yeah, like
kind
a
of
bank
thing.
teller's bag.
Yeah, so it's there. The keys are in that, and she brought it up there, and hers was wide open, and there's an overhead shot of the key getting placed in, and she was trying to block it from the people that would have like Vince and Ashley. And really what she did was show the entirety of America that she was voting for Vince in that moment.
But that was at least unintentional, where Will actually kind of came out and blew up his own spot, and then got a little bit of a scolding from Julie.
He's like, I'm voting for my little girl.
Which honestly, fuck yeah, Will. Like, again, I love Will. I love that he is just unapologetically himself, and I think he is an outspoken guy, and he says, I'm voting for my little girl, and Julie says something like, well, don't forget, we have to be discreet. Like, let's be discreet, guys.
It also could have been Vince, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's oh my God, if he had been able to quip back, well, no, this could be for Vince, you don't know.
Yeah,
dude.
That would have been funny.
Because
we got Keanu making that joke earlier in the season, with him saying that he lived, living in the house with all these women, and he's lived with all
crying,
of his sisters,
the whining.
and that's just Vince. Like, if Will could have given us a quip like that would have been pretty good. But I think he was genuine. He was excited to cast his vote for the win to Ashley. And really the turning point, I can't remember who was read first, but both were the nail in the coffin in Vince losing for me was Keanu and Lauren voting for Ashley.
Oh yeah, brutal.
I think he pulled out. Julie Chen Moonves pulled out Lauren's key, voting for Ashley, and Vince just looked kind of crushed. He looked kind of crushed, but he had this weird thing with Lauren and Morgan, and I think Lauren saw through that. And I think too, what really resonated with Lauren, I would guess, and maybe this is contradicting what we said earlier, Rachel not having a pool in jury. I think Rachel calling Lauren a puppy dog, I think in that moment, Lauren was probably like, well, I'm not going to be Vince's puppy dog and vote for him.
Holy shit. Did we talk about that on the last episode, by the way?
We may have.
Because that wasn't in the round table. That was when Lauren debuted in the jury house.
Yeah.
Where she arrived, she says, let's watch what happened, right? We go, or maybe it was the round table. At one point, Rachel just straight up dismisses a point that Kelly was trying to make, which I thought was fucked up. Because again, like, I don't think that you can say that you're trying to be, fair and avoid, like bitter jury or whatever, and then just completely disregard and
Your other
dismiss
juror.
what other jurors have to say.
Right, because
so,
they're all equals
like,
at this point,
right?
right?
And so I think like there were Rachel's not completely guiltless in the jury management or whatever, because I think it was fucked up that she just kind of squashed a point that Kelly tried to make, and then yes, she used the words puppy dog. She looked at Lauren in the face and said, "You're a puppy dog." And
that was when Lauren came to the jury house, not in the round table.
Okay, right. And I know like this whole show we've been calling people idiots and losers and dumb and Keanu, right?
You can't prove anything.
Keanu
Allegedly,
and all
allegedly.
of that. But I don't know, like we're doing commentary on a TV show when we're doing this podcast. To look at someone in the eyes and say that to them, and again, like it's non-performative. You're not competing anymore.
Yes,
I
but
thought
she
it was pretty
is
fucked
performing for the
sticking to the
overall
persona.
Rachel Rylie brand.
Sure.
Right? That's what she's performing for.
Okay, well then in that case, she's telling Lauren that she should be a bitter juror in that moment. That's giving her something to be angry about. When you're saying, "Oh, well, you were a puppy dog following Vince around," like there's no positive spin on that.
Yeah.
And so no, you're right. I think that did strike a chord with her.
That's something that Rachel should have reserved if Lauren was sitting in the final two chairs.
Yeah.
Against Vince or something, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, Lauren, you're only up there because you're Vince's puppy dog and you followed him around. Like, sure, chalk it up to that in that moment. But like after the fact, in the jury house, like she didn't need to hear that. Like that was probably devastating to her.
Yeah.
Like that's not how she saw it. Maybe if she watched it back, like she would feel differently. But yeah, kind of a low blow to Lauren there. And maybe
this is right after she got evicted too.
Yeah, and maybe that did fuel her fire to not vote for Vince at the end, is because she's like, I don't want to be perceived as Vince's puppy dog.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know what was going through her head. I know she was friends with Ashley, but like I don't know, like. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear more from Lauren, like why she voted Ashley, like the actual facts why she voted Ashley.
Well,
and then just seeing Keanu too vote for her.
Well, Ashley told Taylor that she was most surprised by Lauren's vote. She did chalk up Keanu's vote to just he was a big player. He liked the big moves, and what Ashley did was a big move, not taking Morgan.
Yeah.
Right. So she figured he was, but also like we saw that Keanu was like kind of a vindictive player in the house too, and
well, because Rachel even told him you had the worst reads of the house, and he looked at her and was like, "Really, Rachel? Thanks," or something like that in the jury house.
Well, look, that's another thing is like she is tearing down everyone in the jury house as they were evicted, but the word is evicted. They were evicted. Rachel, you timed out of a competition and sent yourself home. You went home through the tunnel. Not even the back door of the house.
Yeah.
And God, what I would give to see any of these players stand up and say that exact thing to her.
Yeah.
And I know she's playing the persona. And Ashley even says, I wish people got to know the real Rachel because she's actually really kind of
I do think Rachel on the street is like a very nice, friendly, decent human being. Like I remember in one of the lives that I watched that people were asking her, like other house guests were asking her like, oh, like how is it outside of like, what's it like outside of the Big Brother house, like having this fame and like stuff. She's like, oh yeah, people come up to me all the time, or like I'll see people like recognize me and be too like shy to come over, and like I'll go over to them and be like, you guys want a picture? Like she does sound like a very nice, like approachable, personal
she's a mom.
person.
She's like she's got kids. She's got a family. Like this is not her. It's
right,
her.
Nikki?
It's her persona, right? Like it's not her job,
right?
And so, I do think that she still has. We've talked about like this intimidation that she brings. Where I want to see, you know, and maybe she was talking to the wrong people. She talked to someone like Keanu, who she knew was going to just kind of like back down, or Lauren because she backed down all the time. What if she had said that to Ava? Right? Like we've seen Ava clap back multiple times, Keanu snapping at her, Rachel grabbing her, right? Like what if she had said something like that to a player who was willing to chop it up with her? That's kind of what I want to say. Like, all right, Rachel, if we're going to keep this persona up, if we're going to be kind of shitty to the other players, be shitty to someone that you know can kind of stand their ground. I think that's the thing.
No, I don't think Ava could stand her ground though, because in her exit interview, people like she was asked about Rachel and like the arm grab and stuff like that. And she was just like, it's whatever. I'm like, girl, that was not whatever when you were in the house. Again, if Ava could have come in her exit interview and say, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, I played it up in the house because I wanted people to think that I was mad at her, and I wanted people to think that, you know, I couldn't be messed with and whatever, like, give me that. But she couldn't give me that. She was just like, oh, I don't know. She just kind of like walked it back really quick. Like, no, it wasn't that big a deal. But I'm like, America saw how big a deal that was to you, Ava.
I think Ava was the most burnt out by this game.
Yeah.
Out of the whole
I mean,
cast.
we talked about it before, like, and I will continue to go back to her conversation with Will, where the two of them sat down and like she was just like, I'm worried about leaving this game. Like, what's the perception going to be of me? I'm going to have to go back to the real world. And I'm afraid of that.
Yeah.
She basically, that was the summation of that conversation she had with Will one-on-one, I think in the Have Not room it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like so scary and so real. And I feel like something that's not talked about a lot, probably amongst the house and like amongst exiting players is, yeah, you kind of get this whole social media gets thrusted in your face and you get, you know, told who you were and how you were perceived. And this one slight comment that I just threw out and didn't even think much of, and now everyone's coming at me for it. Like, she's thinking of all this stuff in the moment and being like, oh fuck, I'm afraid to leave. Like, that's scary.
And we saw her, I think especially towards the end, just really start to throw her arms up and be like, I'm done with the people in here, I'm done with this bullshit. Like, she seemed to get tired of it.
Bible verses to us
so,
online.
Right, at one point, oh my god, like her last night in the house, she was reciting, I think it was like the Jacob's.
You're the Jesus kid.
I'm not the Jesus kid. I grew up going to church.
I did not.
And I remember the stories because that was the only cool thing about it was the stories that you got.
Right.
And it's the story
of a brother,
Jacob and Joseph, right?
Sure.
And so it seemed like she was reading it out loud for the first time, and I was really most interested in the way that she was experiencing the story, right? But I think by the end of it, she really had just grown tired of Big Brother. She knew that her game went nowhere.
She kind of knew she was sitting at final
and I think
and she
that's
wasn't. Yeah,
that's why we see her walking, like in her exit interview, walking back the comments about Rachel grabbing her and stuff. Is she's just like, I just don't care anymore.
She's like, I want it to be done.
Like,
I want to go back home.
I want to go back home. I don't have anything else to say. I don't want to drag this out any further. Like, she might be. I wonder if we see her again. I mean, on television, right? She might be happy with what she's doing in New York. I mean, she had a big following, so
yeah,
I'm sure that'll.
Before
continue.
She even went into the house, I think she had something like 90K followers, which, like, that's a brand in and of itself.
Give me an Ava and Captain Will podcast.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's what I want.
I'd listen to the
That's
shit
what
out
I
of
want.
that.
Oh, my God. That'd be so good. I really hope that he has. I know it's a basketball show, but I would love to hear him cut it up with other players on his show. I want to hear him host and ask questions and drive the bits and drive the conversation. I'm so excited for Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. So that's the vote. That's the winner, right, with Ashley. We go into, once everyone's on stage, the confetti's dropped, we go into America's favorite player.
Yes.
Announced. And that's, I think it's like an envelope, right? And Julie's the one who gets to announce it. And everyone's lined up. And she's
pulling it out.
Argued this back and forth on the last episode, and then picked up some traction online when we said, who we think deserves, who doesn't deserve. And our top choices were Will and who else?
To be fair, I voted for all of the people who were in the final three.
Sure.
I did throw Rachel a couple sympathy votes because I was brainwashed in the beginning of the America's favorite player rally cries from all the other Big Brother players and all the other the current and past house guests that were advocating for Rachel to win. I threw a couple votes her way. So no shock that she was in the top three. Will was also in the top three. I voted for him a lot. I think Ava was probably shocked that she wasn't in the top three. I think Jimmy was probably shocked that he wasn't in the top three. I did throw a few votes to Morgan as well, just for being a comp beast.
I think they were butthurt that they weren't in the top three, and I think they still fucking are, because America's favorite player went to Keanu.
And I think they cited something that he had 65% of the votes.
Awesome. Good for him. I wonder what I would love to pull the stats on Tucker, right? Because I just feel like Tucker won with a landslide last season. Like, he was so likable.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't really have any of the negative moments that Keanu did have, because he did have a couple this season. I think biggest being his blow up with You Have a Prompt, his blow up with Ava. But he got he had the redemption arc, and I was rooting for him. I mean, at this point, I had a feeling that Will was out of the running, and I think Keanu does deserve it. He kept the show interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was fun to watch. It was fun to watch him dominate in comps. I said last episode, I can't wait to see what TV show he goes to, whether it's The Challenge or something else. And I wouldn't mind booking him for a session either. And
like a training session?
No, like a D&D session.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a fitness.
No, how great would it be if we did a one-off with Keanu? He probably won't do that anymore, right? He's going to be making too much money as an influencer, but holy shit, that would be cool. And you look around, and dude, I mean, Keanu had it out with almost every person in the house this season. And so you know how pissed some of these people are, namely Ava, Jimmy, Rachel.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who probably thought they had a decent shot because of the way that they carried themselves on the show lost to their biggest hater, or the person that they hated the most, right?
Yeah, the guy that was running into all the rooms with them, wouldn't give them a second.
Dude, I mean, on live feeds.
I mean, it looked like it stung Vince when Vince saw who won.
Live feeds and the broadcast, everyone on the show talked shit about Keanu at one point.
Yeah.
He was the one that they were all blabbing about when he was out of the room. Just whether it's, and it wasn't anything like really mean-spirited, but it was either like, hey, it's annoying that Keanu's doing this, he's bad at the game, or like he's not doing the dishes or something like that. But honestly, like huge congrats. It was cool to see him pull that out. I don't know if he expected it. And now he's back home with his girlfriend, and I think he's going to be a fun follow online. That's something interesting to notice, is like who sticks around for the week of festivities afterwards, for the after party and the after party's after party, and who goes home. And it looked like he flew home, but we do have, I mean, there's a few other topics to cover before we wrap up the show, but beyond the winners of the game and America's favorite, we've got like notes on the exit interviews with the final three, and then just a couple, I don't know, not Easter eggs, but interesting points that we made that we picked up on watching the house guests all come back for the live in studio broadcast. Where do you want to go?
Well, one thing I want to highlight here are some stats from the season itself.
Okay.
So this is, I was pulling it up while we were talking because I wanted to actually cite the actual facts, the actual stats here. But CBS is reporting that more than 8 billion minutes of Big Brother were watched this year between episodes and live feeds. That's up 27% from last season. And live feed viewership is also up to 35% from last season, because we're all looking at Vorgan. Well, we all wanted to see more Vorgan content.
Because of Backdoors and Blindsides covering the show. You're fucking welcome.
Right, exactly. And then the other stat is the season averaged 5.1 million viewers per episode, and that is up 23% from last season. And I think this is very interesting, and this is what I started this season with. Was one of our very first reels that we made was, hey, you just finished watching Love Island. Big Brother is also a live multi-month show that you can, get in on some lore, figure out, things that are happening in real time. And I think the success of last season of Love Island, which I did not watch, but I heard all the great things about it, and was one of the reasons that drove me to watch this shit show of a season of Love Island. I think people were riding off of that high and then kind of swooped into Big Brother. So I think a lot of people were first-time watchers because they're like, oh, this other show that is live that I can have like commentary and talk to people about online with, like, it's also on right as Love Island's ending. So I would think that some of the viewership has to do with that, if I'm guessing.
Yeah, and we had a killer season of Survivor in the spring, and so that show's running hot.
We Traitors running hot too. They just won an Emmy.
Rachel Rylie comes back to the season.
She was on Traitors
after being on Traitors, right? And so it makes sense. And I do think that this season turned out to be pretty fucking interesting at the end of it. It wasn't what we expected, but I guess that's never the case with Big Brother. It was not a conventional, traditional season by any means. And there were controversies, and there was weirdness amongst players, amongst the way the production presented the show, but it was good to talk about. And I think that is, whether it's good or bad, there were a lot of discussions to be had about the show. And yeah, it's that appeal of like the online community that Love Island has that any of these shows have.
And speaking of online community, I do have another stat for you here.
Oh, yeah?
So back when Mickey was evicted, almost immediately after, people were being like, oh, like, are you gonna talk to Jimmy? Like, what have you said to Jimmy, like, whatever. And she had a tweet that said something along the lines of, if I hit 10K followers, I'll go live with Jimmy. Mm-hmm. Do you want to know what her follower count is as of today, Tuesday, September 30th, 2025?
What?
6,175.
Eat shit, Mickey.
I mean, that it was just kind of brutal. She kind of like talks all this shit, and was basically hinging Jimmy's apology on trying to get followers from his fan base, which he has, I think, something like 20K followers. I'll have to check on that really quick. Jimmy, I'm gonna check it live right now. Yeah, he has 21.4K followers. So she's trying to leverage his follower base to, follow me, and then we'll have our heart-to-heart moment. And they ended up doing it anyways before that. But I just thought it was funny, and people were just kind of giving her shit for holding that apology hostage, and he's still not anywhere close to that girlfriend.
Well, I think that's a great time to bring up something that we did notice live in studio about Mickey. It looked great, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, her outfit was giving.
Crush.
Loved it.
And
wasn't fire, because that's only reserved for one special lady in our lives.
That's right.
But it was pretty close up there to that.
At the end of the show, at the end of every live Big Brother, right, Julie has her send-off that we pay tribute to, Love One Another. And the fun thing about the finale is that she gets the whole cast.
She was encouraging everyone.
It happens every season.
You know what we say, right?
Right. On three.
She teed it up.
And it's the last moment. It's the photo moment of the
entire
season
cast
before credits roll and everything's over. And
there's confetti on the floor. Like,
you can belt it out.
Everyone's lined
hugging
up together.
Mickey's on the end and is stone-faced, mouth closed as this episode ends. She does not join in with the Love One Another.
And I watched it back like 5 times.
Her
I was
arms, I think her arms are crossed.
I don't know. I don't want to say that if that's not true.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll walk that back then. But it was just a little like, yeah, I don't know, man. I noticed that you're the only one not saying anything. And look, also, like, you're on live TV. There are spotlights in your face. But it is the kind of pseudo villain of the season, and so I'm just wondering if this is legit or not.
She even says, like, in her X bio, she says something like, "You're a hero villain," or something like that. Like, and she goes by the Mictator. That's her, like,
So you think she's leaning into the bit?
She is leaning into the. Well, I think generally she's leaning into the bit of like this, like, kind of like villain role, if you will. So I don't know. Someone on. So I posted about that. I said something. What did I say here? I said, did anyone else clock that Mickey was the only one that didn't say Julie's send-off phrase, "Love one another," with the rest of the cast? And people did not like me asking this question. Someone responded to my thread saying she probably forgot it or didn't know. LMAO, no need to hype shit. That's Louis Panza on Threads.
Oh, we're gonna have handles?
Yeah,
Nice.
We're gonna give out handles. I don't give a fuck. She probably forgot it or didn't know. I'm like, no need to hype shit. I'm like, first of all, this is a commentary account, so I'm gonna point out anything that I observed. And I truly was making an observation, right? That's what we're here to do. We're a recap show. We're recapping. We're making observations.
Yeah, people shouldn't be offended by anything that we do on this show.
Someone else asked, no, didn't catch that. What do you make of it? And I'm not going to respond to them because they need to listen to our show. And maybe I'll respond to say, listen to our show.
Hit them with the link. Yeah.
Hit him with that link.
Hit him with that YouTube link.
What do I think of it? I made the observation, right? I wanted to see if anyone else saw it. Was I going crazy? Did I rewatch this so many times and still get it wrong? What I make of it is a couple of things. Is one, maybe she is leaning into the villain role where she's like, I'm not going to say this phrase. I'm bitter. I didn't win. You know, whatever. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she did forget.
Maybe she did forget.
Maybe it really is like, just, we're
I'm
doing
on the
it.
stage.
I thought we were going on 4, not 3.
Right. Sure.
Interesting. I mean, Mickey is someone that like was polarizing, or I guess, and she was a huge player. I mean, up until she left. But I do think that she was kind of swept underneath some of the bigger moments of the season. So, I mean, she strikes me as someone who came in and wanted, I mean, everyone, you're going on to TV, you want to make something out of this. You want to make a career in television, or at least most people do. But there were a lot of other bigger things that happened. Keanu outshined everyone, right? He got America's favorite player, but just in like game performance, everyone was talking about Keanu every week. Everyone was talking about Vince every week. Her number 1, Morgan, ended up going to the end of the game, right? To the final 3.
Which she said that she didn't want to, you know, she wasn't going to be friends with her outside of this, or wasn't going to like follow her or something like that. She made a comment like that at one point, and it's like, so you are taking outside of the game.
Yeah, look, it's not like it doesn't mean anything really one way or another whether she intentionally kept quiet or not, but it's just something interesting to point out, because that's kind of the fun part of this, is now we get to watch all of these people interact in the real world. Now it's on social media, so it's going to be through a filter, but that's where the show kind of continues, and I'm just waiting for the real beef to come out, where we're no longer tied to production. We're just going to start getting bitter.
I mean, they're still under some NDAs,
well,
I'm
sure, but we eventually, when everyone fades a little bit, right? When the attention remains on the people who won, and then we move on to whatever's next in the Big Brother world, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
That's when I want to see people get a little lippy with each other on the internet, and I want to see some of these beefs like really come to light. So
well, one of those beef singular.
That's plural.
Beefs.
Yeah, why not?
Ashley is on a live after she wins, and there's a bunch of other former house guests with her in the background, and a phone is propped up on something, and she's reading comments from people, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know Rylie had a kid." And Zach's like standing next to her like, no, like don't. And she's like, "Oh, they're here," meaning Rylie and Kat, I would assume, were in maybe a different room or something, and she didn't know. And so she's like, oops. She's like, "Yeah, my dad hated Rylie." She disclosed in that moment that, and she used the word hated too. I want to note that. She said that her dad submitted a complaint to production because her dad saw on live feeds that Rylie was talking about wanting to trip Ashley.
Like physically trip
her,
like a bully in the
hallway. I didn't see the live. I don't know. Okay. But Ashley said that's what she was saying. It was in context too, that she knows that her dad submitted a formal complaint against Rylie because Rylie said that he was going to trip Ashley. And she disclosed that information on the live, and I was like, yo, that's so crazy.
It's just going to get worse.
Yeah, he's I thought that was interesting that we had a little moment on Rylie and Katherine on the finale. You know, like, "Oh, where's your relationship stand?" She's like, Catherine's like, "Oh, I visited him. We're in a good spot, whatever."
That's right.
I think this is production's ploy to be like, huh?
See?
Huh? It's okay.
You can't be mad at us anymore.
Everyone's fine.
You got
She's
what you
an
want.
adult. She can make her decisions. And I was just like, why are we giving this any attention?
I wouldn't have touched on it at all. Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even put them next to each other.
Yeah.
But they did. Not only were they next to each other, they were kind of front and center.
Yeah.
They're like in the middle of that front row of the evicted house guests. pre-jury.
Yeah,
right?
they were trying to like bring him back a little bit, or maybe help him save face a little bit, to be like, look, everyone, Catherine likes me. We're together. We're bopping around. And he was in some like pre-finale videos that I saw of like all the house guests making the pre-jury house guests making their way back to LA and to hang out for the finale. I saw him in a couple of those videos. So I was like, wait a second, why is Rylie hanging around everyone? Because, you know, while he was in the house, a lot of people really liked him.
Yeah.
And it was all of the online backlash that he was getting. So I find it very interesting that they chose to highlight the two of them. What I also thought was interesting that they highlighted is I love when production does people so dirty. And in the very kind of like beginning of the finale, they kind of did Vince dirty, because they flashed to the audience and were showing Vince's parents. And it even had a title card underneath that said Vince's parents. And I could be wrong, but I am pretty damn certain that we did not see Morgan's family or friends, and we did not see Ashley's family or friends highlighted in the audience.
Oh, you know they're fucking him over with that.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, the production is showing us his parents because production needs us to know that Vince's girlfriend is not in the audience with us right now, but instead it's his parents.
You want to talk about interviews?
I had one more thing is Rachel was asked a question and she said White Lotus on live TV.
Oh, that's so awesome.
She did not say White Locust, which is what the Big Brother challenge was.
Even the professional can't fucking get it
I
right.
know. I loved it. I felt so vindicated. I was like, yes, I've been shitting on this name. Everyone who had pronounced it in the diary room, all the returning players that were talking about it in BB Unlocked or whatever, they would always be the White Locust. It was always super pronounced, but then Rachel was just like the White Lotus. And I was like, yes, thank you for saying literally everything that people were thinking, which was the White Lotus.
So Taylor Hale interviews the final three for Entertainment Tonight. And I think I want to go Ashley, Vince, Morgan in our recaps of these interviews. And just like a couple like high level notes here. We already mentioned that she was surprised by getting Lauren's vote, that she was surprised that Will revealed that she was a lawyer, but she could kind of see why that could have helped her. She credited her game to, playing dumb and specifically getting a lot of information because she was viewed as the quote unquote dumb person in the house. And I think that's just another example of like, obviously this is like well thought out game on her part. It wasn't just like being dragged along to the end, not being viewed as a threat. She was getting information that she was able to use against other players and bring back to people like Morgan, people like Rachel, etc. But the other thing that she mentioned that I thought was really interesting was Zach going home is the big thing that changed the game for her. Mm-hmm. So this is even pre-jury. She said Zach going home means that she could get closer with Vince and Morgan. And
no, I don't want a Clint's show, man. Don't give me that.
It seemed like she didn't get closer with them until I guess like the judges was right after Zach went home. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that would have kept the judges from forming. It's just like it was the first time that I really had heard Zach come up in anything related to gameplay in a while. So her viewing that as like a key moment, I think just shows, she has been playing from the start.
Again, like that's the thing I'm saying. Like something that could have been perceived as her personality as being, not in the know or ditzy or whatever. Like she was able to flip that on its head and be like, no, that was all gameplay. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where if like Vince could be like, oh yeah, all that crying, no, that was all gameplay. Yeah. Like flip it on its head. Like, your perception was wrong. And that's how I wanted it to be. I wanted you to think that I was emotional. I wanted you to think that I was dumb and silly and not paying attention and not listening. But really, I was clocking everything and storing it in my mind and using it this way, that way. And that's what she was able to articulate. And that's why she won. Like she did what I was begging and that I've begged other former players to do is like, own it. Own everything as a game move. Own it.
Yeah. Take credit for everyone's work. The one thing that I wish we did get a question on is the I think Ashley's most famous moment of the season is one that wasn't talked about at all on eviction night or on finale night, which was her flubbing the Jimmy eviction, right? And voting for Kelly instead of Jimmy, accidentally going against the house and then running back in there, right? And like, that was an honest mistake. And look, I'm sorry, we're still going to make fun of you for it.
It's still unforgivable to me.
It's still crazy, but it's a great story that same person who was standing over the speaker trying to like, you know what I mean? I mean, she looked like my grandmother, like talking into the speakerphone, like the answering machine. And I wish that Taylor had asked her about that, because I would love to know if she spent the rest of the season worrying that was going to come back to haunt her, and worrying if Will was going to let that out to anyone.
Well, he even said, like, in the moment, like, oh, like, that's none of my business. Like, I'm just going to, like, play along with whatever, you know, Ashley's story is. Like, I'm not going to ruin it for her. But, like, he also said he wouldn't tell the jury that she was a lawyer. So, like, who knows what actually happened with that.
I mean, we got a little bit of them acknowledging it in the DR, right? That she, like, made a mistake and she had to go back and fix it. I don't know if, like, she ever knew whether it counted or not. Well, I guess it did, because it was the one vote.
She knew it counted.
But I would
in
love
that moment when she went back and, like, redid the vote, when she was still in the hallway of the diary room, she probably didn't know which way her vote was going to go. She was like, oh, I hope the second one counted, but I don't know. Like,
yeah. So I would love to see that come up in other, like, post-show interviews with her. That was kind of the biggest miss for me, for what her and Taylor talked about. But it gets way more interesting when we actually go beyond the winner of Big Brother 27 and we talk to the two runner-ups. And more interestingly, the two runner-ups who are in this alleged will they, won't they, showmance, cheatmance, whatever it may be. So I want to start with Vince. Obviously, second place, wins $75,000.
He says he's going to make the money last as long as possible.
Yeah.
He has some student debt. He has some bills. He has health insurance, right? Everything, all that stuff people can relate to. Like, you know, he really says he's going to make it last for as long as possible. Yeah. So it's really going to have an impact on his life, I think. So, you know, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. No one cared about what he was doing with that money in this interview, though. No. That is not at all. And even Taylor's like, we all know what questions are going to come up here, right?
Well, he did say he wanted to take his girlfriend on a bunch of vacations.
So we get right into questions about Morgan, about his relationship, all of that. Vince uses the word, again, best friends. He says that Morgan was my best friend in the house. It was purely platonic. It was gameplay. It's just the two of us. We were best friends.
She's a really great person. She's great to be around. Like, you know, she's someone you want to have in your life. Like, these are all the words that he's using.
Yeah. I want to tell a quick story about two kids who, for a while, was just going around telling everyone that they were best friends, that they were just the best of buds, that we were more interested in, damn it, they were more interested
allegedly
in just lifting each other up and helping each other with their their problems. Now they're helping each other with their program because they ended up staying together through high school, through college, are now married, and are now doing this podcast for all of you listening at home. So look, when I got the best friend line, I'm like, I don't know, dude. I've heard that one before. I've used it myself, and I was full of shit. So I'm just saying the best friend thing doesn't work on me.
I remember one conversation that we had in high school, pre us dating, and something came up about us, like, being, I think we were, like, texting back and forth. Something come up to, you know, about us, like, kissing. I was like, oh yeah, kissing. Like,
crazy,
that'd be
right?
like,
yeah.
Ew, like, we're best friends. Like, that'd be so gross if we kissed. Like, ew, oh, we can't ruin the friendship. It was giving me that kind of vibe.
Right.
I was like, Vince, buddy, I've been there, and like, I've now married that person.
A conversation
so, like,
between two 15-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what was happening. I mean, maybe that is what was happening, because we don't know if he pulled any bitches in high school. So maybe that's what.
Well, and it doesn't stop there. They go into, I can't believe they actually asked him about this, the options scenario, when they were laying in bed at night talking about options.
They're
option
being really
1,
vague.
option 2. Like they're clearly speaking in code.
Right. Percentages. They had it on the second to last episode, and we talked about it last time. They had it on the screen. They even had like a broken heart emoji on there, or maybe a heart emoji.
Well, and that's the thing is that conversation did kind of remind me of like a conversation that you're having as a teenager where you're too afraid to actually talk about like how you feel about someone. And so you're trying to speak in these hypotheticals, and we're not really acknowledging things because we don't want to embarrass ourselves. Like it's just like it's a very human thing. Right. But
it's putting up a guard.
But like, I know what you're doing, dude. And you're talking about romance and relationships here. I just don't see it any other way. Now, what Vince says is he says, oh, those options we discussed, we talked about all the options in the game. So he played it off like we were discussing options to who to evict, how the HOH is going to go. Like he played it off best he could.
I wish they would have showed him the clip, because he probably has no idea what they're talking about. He's like, I don't know. We were talking about like gameplay, whatever. Like, and they probably did talk a lot about a lot of gameplay options, right? Mm-hmm. Like if he wins, if Morgan wins, if Ashley wins, like how are we going to get to the end? So he was probably unsure what she was referencing without the clip, right? Because I think that's something as viewers, we constantly have to remind ourselves. Everyone was saying like, oh, Ashley's not going to win. The jury's not going to be bitter. The jury's going to vote for the best player. Guess what? None of these people know what we know as viewers. Nobody knows the full picture. Even the viewers have skewed opinions on things. Some people are saying like Ashley, just was a floater and like rebranded as social strategy. Like, do I agree with that? Not really. I think maybe there was some little bit of rebranding going there, but she was very, very did a very, very good job at articulating why she deserved to win. And I think she deserves to win. I don't think anyone should take that from her for any reason, because she was the best player in those 2 chairs at the end.
At the end of the day, she was able to talk circles around someone who had 4 HOHs, who got out. Keanu, who could technically take credit for getting Rachel out with the whole shit he pulled with Lauren at the White Locust. All sorts of stuff. So yeah, no, I don't think that at this point you can't take the loss away, or you can't take the win away from her.
No.
Last thing from Vince's interview that stood out, they do ask, what are you going to say to your girlfriend? He says, I did my best and I hope she's proud. So he's sticking with the doing my best, I'll do my best, I did my best narrative. And then he goes into a little bit about like the plans he had if he had won the 750K and stuff like that. A little awkward, because then we go into Morgan's interview,
which in continuity, Morgan was interviewed first.
Yes.
And she even Taylor even cited that in the interview with Vince, like, oh, we asked Morgan this question, what do you have to say about it? Because when Morgan was asked about the percentages and the option 1,
that whole dialogue,
pillow talk that they had, was it about relationship? Wasn't I'm going to tell you what, it wasn't about game. That was not about game. But when they asked her, she basically throws her hands up and says, I don't know what you're talking about. Go ask Vince.
She pleads the fifth.
She's like, go ask Vince. I'm not going to speak for him. But when she was asked generally on her relationship with Vince in the house, she said, I describe it as a platonic game relationship. Those were her words. That's how she left it. Go ask Vince. It was platonic game relationship. You rewind and ask Vince how he feels about Morgan. Oh, she's the best person. She's my best friend. So lucky to have her in my life. Like, she's a good person to have in your life.
It's
like,
so tough.
He leans in on like the personal relationship with her, where she was like, I don't know, it was all game relationship, platonic game relationship. Mentions nothing about how good of a guy he is, how great of a friend he is. She mentions nothing along the lines, where Vince tells a completely different story when he's interviewed.
The last point I had on my show sheet was what's next for Vorgan. And I think those 2 exit interviews with Taylor,
it tells me all I need to know.
Told us what we needed to know, which is there is no Vorgan. There is a Vince and there is a Morgan, and that Morgan was going to kill Vince on her way out of the house and not even and take that 75K from him. So I think
50K.
Well, both. I mean,
one.
but like,
no,
because she said she was going to ice Vince. She was going to evict him. She was not going to bring him.
I mean, that probably
to the
has
finale.
to hurt him too.
Of course.
Right. But like she's standing behind her game in hindsight, right? You know,
Yeah.
she's like, hey, if this played out, I want everyone to know that like I am the player you thought I was. I would have cut Vince. I would have been ruthless. I would have done everything I needed to do to like get into those final 2 chairs. And I tried my hardest, and I would have continued to try my hardest. So she is like being like the gamer girl that she is and being like, no, I was always going to game. And Vince was never going to be my kryptonite, where I don't know if he could have said the same.
There's been a lot of it's a lot of like online speculation, right? No one is saying in like official mediums.
I want to talk about that specific point for a second, because people are alleging that Vince's girlfriend Kelsey broke up with him during the show. She, it was a one-sided breakup kind of thing as she was watching Vorgan happen and unfold in front of her eyes along with America and live TV, and she's having to deal with all this speculation, right? So something that people took note of was that she unfollowed herself because she was handling Vince's account when he left. So she went on Vince's account and unfollowed herself, and she also went on her personal account and unfollowed Vince. Now, people are like, oh, well, like she broke up with him. I don't think, based on that is not the case. If it were me, if I am in Vince's girlfriend's shoes, I would be maybe doing that because I'm tired of the internet people coming for me.
Sure.
Like maybe I'm unfollowing each other on our accounts, and I'm going to create a new username and no one will know who I am.
I'm distancing myself from this online because
I'm
not on television right now.
She never asked to be.
And like, she never should have been a character in all of this. And like, the thing is, she was mentioned by name so much on the TV show that I just feel like it just happened like naturally, right?
Right. I mean, there were times like I felt guilty saying her name between the two of us because like maybe I didn't want to know her name. I didn't know. I know Ava mentioned her boyfriend a few times, but like, he was not a big part of the game, but Kelsey kind of got wrapped into it, and people want to know where they stand. And Vince seemed to think that they were still together. Yeah. By his exit interview time with Taylor.
Yeah. And like he was very adamant about like, I feel like I got in my head too much. Like everyone else was seeing something that I really didn't see. He stood by whatever the last 3 months of his life has looked like to the public eye. Yeah. Right.
And at this point, he doesn't know what he was edited like. He doesn't know what was on people's TV screens and what was being picked up and not.
And honestly, like, does everyone want to know? Sure. Like, you can't help but want to know where the relationship stands.
But do people deserve to know?
No. Because he's a guy, right? And like we've busted his balls a lot in the last couple of months on the show. But like, you go on a TV show, you're going to be subject to criticism. That's kind of where it ends, though. Like his time on the TV show is over, so we're leaving it at that.
Yeah. So just to wrap up our season of Big Brother here, I have a few closing rapid-fire questions that I'm going to answer myself here. Was Ashley a deserving winner? Yes, absolutely. If you think otherwise, go back and watch the whole season over again. You don't understand what was happening underneath the subcontext of everything. We watched 2 different shows. Go watch it again, because what she was able to pull off was remarkable, specifically in the last 72 hours of the game. But the way that she set herself up and came back from being a target on day 1 with her shower heard around the world.
Absolutely.
Do you think Morgan would have won next to Ashley? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Morgan would have won next to Ashley. I think Morgan had the social game. I think she had the strategy. I think she had all of the fancy comp wins. I think she would have won next to Ashley. So it was in Ashley's best interest to cut her and to take Vince, clearly, because she won 6-1. Do we think the jury was bitter for voting Vince not to win? Maybe a little bit. I think, some bitterness may have been wrapped into decision making specifically for those people who did feel closest to Vince when they left, which was Keanu, which was Lauren. Remember, neither of them voted. He didn't vote for either of them. Yeah. He did nominate them, yes, but he was not the vote to evict them.
Oh, Kelly's vote was out of hate.
I mean, Kelly was, somewhat close to Ashley. I think they're at closer to the end. But I do think, Ashley or Kelly was kind of over it at the end. She knew where she was lying. She knew with Vince. She knew after like the Adrian thing to kind of keep him a little bit at arm's length. But I think there was a touch of bitterness like wrapped into the decision making. But I think majority they did vote for the person who pulled off a better game, which was Ashley. And then my last one here was, do you think Ashley rebranded the term floater into social strategist?
Interesting.
Which I think a little bit, because if we go back to Rachel Riley, one of her quotes of the century in Big Brother world was floaters grab a life vest, which she wanted everybody that rode the middle to figure it the fuck out, pick a side, right? And Ashley even said in her speech, she said, I rode the middle. Those are almost verbatim the words that she used. So did Rachel vote for the player type that she condemned so long ago on one of her original seasons? I think Ashley was able to define things in her game, why she did what she did. She was able to flip the perception that everyone had of her on its head and to be like, ha, I gotcha. And I think that's the difference between all of them, because all the other floaters in the past truly rode on coattails and were like, I don't know, I'm just doing what this person says or does, whatever. She was able to really, really home in on why she deserved to win, all of these qualities that she possessed, all of these moves that she tried to make, without people understanding the full context of her game, which she was able to pull the curtain on in finale night. And I do think she maybe rebranded that a little bit, because I think the perception was that she was a floater. She was not a floater.
Great point. She made people think that she was floating.
She wanted people to think
which
that
is a good place to be.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
So I think that kind of sums up
well said.
The entirety of the game. I think she was a social strategist. Social game was the highest rewarded thing this season, and she played the best social game, and that's what was rewarded, and that is why she is our Big Brother 27 winner.
Oh man, look at you with your little wrap-up speech. You would crush me if we were in the final two together.
I would.
In the Big Brother house, by the way.
I would. Although I hate public speaking. I hate it.
You're doing a podcast.
Yeah, but it's
public speaking for 2 hours a week for the last 3 months.
I know, but it's not. It goes out to the public, but it's just you and I sitting here, right?
We'll go live one day.
I would never.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, we'll go live.
Have
we'll
heart
get super
palpitations.
chats. We'll get donations.
Yeah,
we'll get rich. It'll be great. I do want to touch on that though. People listening to the show, we started this on a whim 3 months ago. Because we were both just kind of bullshitting one night about Survivor, talking about how excited we were for Big Brother. Meg had the idea to do this show. I was a little taken aback, honestly, because I've been doing podcasts for a long time, and I never thought that we would do something like this together, honestly, because I hated it for so fucking long. It was nice to be reminded of how much fun it can be to start something like this on your own, really just kind of DIY it. And it's been
we DIY'd it for sure.
We DIY'd the shit out of it. But the reason that it was so easy to do after the first week is like the warm response that we got. People who listen to FFS, to CDS, to the Rodcast, whatever. People who just know us from being friends online. Maybe we've never even met in person. And all of our day ones too. Friends who are going out and telling strangers about this show. That's fucking sick.
Yeah,
so
all the randos and strangers online who are liking and engaging with our content, watching it, responding to it. Like, I feel like I've made a decent amount of like random internet people that I want to call them maybe friends, but like people that I know that I see their handles pop up. It's like, oh yeah, this person has good takes. Like I'm gonna respond to them, engage with them, and like we're gonna have this conversation. So like I think that was like pretty cool. I was very much like offline before this. Like I suck at posting to my own Instagram account. I cleansed myself from all of the socials for the most part, and then this kind of like got me back into it. But it was nice to have like a good internet experience for the most part with this. So yeah, just big thanks to everyone who supported us along the way in our first season of covering Big Brother 27 and all the love we got. It really meant a lot. And even just, you know, passively liking our content, even if you didn't listen to the whole thing, like that was pretty cool. So,
and I do want to take a moment to point out, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. Meg had never done a podcast before our first episode of this show back in July.
I hate the sound of my own voice, so I don't even like listening back to things. So why would I want to talk?
And you went from having never sat in front of a microphone in your life to doing 90-minute, 2-hour episodes once a week, sometimes twice a week, in our living room, at a beach house, in hotels, on the go, and you fucking crushed it. And the response that I'm getting, not just response, just people reaching out to me saying, dude, like, she's so good. Obviously, I knew that you were going to crush this, but it's been awesome to share this project together and watch my wife crush it on every episode. So, like, sincerely thank you to everyone who listens to the show and who sends in their kind words. We're going to keep it going.
Well, because I can't take a compliment and I have to be funny and have a little quip about it. The reason why I'm able to get on a microphone and do this with my fear of public speaking, and I never was on a podcast before, because I don't do things that I'm not good at. And I'm looking at the audience while I say that. I don't bowl because I suck at it. You will not catch me at bowling because I only do things I'm good at and I crush those things. So yeah, if I am going to be on a podcast talking about some of my favorite shows ever, I am going to be the best as I can be. I'm not trying my best. I am being the best. And that's the difference between you and I, Vince.
Oh, shit. I should just hit the outro. We don't have an outro. But that's, if we had an outro, that's where I would hit it on the board. We're going to keep the show going. We're about to start our coverage of Survivor 49 with some bonus content on The Amazing Race as well, because this season it's all Big Brother players. So be sure to stay tuned in, stay subscribed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube at Backdoors and Blindsides, Instagram, X, at Backdoors and Blindsides on Instagram and Threads, at Backdoor Podcast on X, and we're going to find more shit to do in the future, too. We're not just going to end with Survivor. We've got Traders coming back. We've got the challenge. There's also just a bunch of other fun shit that we might talk about as bonus content. So we have a million ideas, and this has been, honestly, the best part of 2025 is starting this show and seeing everyone be so warm to it. So sincerely, again, thank you so very much. And for one last time before we have a new outro for the show, coming to you live
Take us away
from inside our living room, I'm Matt.
And I'm Meg.
And we're Backdoors and Blindsides. Glove one another.